Good evening. Happy Friday.
Evening, everybody.
Evening.
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 Happy Friday from Leicester.
Thank you very much. Oh, no. Yes. Well. The question is, Mo, and I've got this planned for you. You have, like I keep saying, you have made me work like a dog this last few days with your footage.
My pleasure.
The question is, are you going to go A this evening, or are you going to go B?
What's that?
You need to pick one. Are you going A or are you going B?
Just pick one, Mo.
Well, we're going to go A.
We're going to go A.
Oh, I think he's nailed it.
Yay!
Leicester. B was Bristol, just so you know.
It begs the question, though, Tom, when we're doing the original live stream, and so I know this guy, Mo. I know if it's the guy I'm thinking of, it's that Mo in Leicester. That's where it all came from. So now I'm Mo in Bristol, although I chose A. Who's this guy in Leicester that you remembered?
Nav.
There must be an original Mo in Leicester somewhere.
No, I've met so many people over the years with SPS tanks, and you just get yakking, and like my missus will vouch for me. I've literally driven her the north and south of the country after frags and whatever else. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll tell you what it was. It was the Nav that I went to see in Leicester. When I went to see him years and years ago, he was having an extension built, and he was having a bigger tank. So when we were talking to people about you and the extension of the bigger tank, I don't know why, I just put two and two together and got 7.
Five. Yeah.
And then 5. But apologies. But thank you ever so much for coming on, mate. It's a pleasure to have you on. And
thanks for having me.
No. There's some amazing footage that you've very kindly shared with us for this evening. Evening, Rob. Sorry. Evening, Ronald. How are we?
Hello.
Very good, thank you.
Yes. Good. Okay. Rob, what we drinking tonight? Anything safe or not so safe?
Not safe. I am.
You're going not safe.
Malbec.
Argentinian tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Rob, Ron, sorry.
Got about 20 minutes of sense.
I'm hoping Bernadette's watching because this is empty.
Oh, what?
Hold on.
You need a little bell.
Jeez.
Oh, dear. We have so much to go through tonight, Mo, with what we've been doing. Can you hear us all right still? Because you've muted yourself. Just so you know. Press the unmute button. Yeah. We'll get used to it.
Bernadette just ran in the room and went,
I bet.
What's the thing is? No beer.
Are you unmuted, Mo, or not?
No,
down the bottom of your screen.
It's on the bottom of your screen. You need to unmute it. There's a little microphone. If you can hear me.
Maybe.
Oh, it won't be a Friday night without a bit of technology. Oh,
no,
not sure.
Still on mute for us.
Still on mute for us. Right, well, while he's figuring it out, I'll jump straight into the comments and say hello to the 50-odd people that have made the effort to join us this Friday evening. It should be a good one, and thank you for making the effort. Some people were in early doors. Wow, 20 to 4 this afternoon. Tony, hi to everyone. Don't forget to like button. Yeah, it would be appreciated if you give us a like, and if you haven't already.
I hope he's been at the pub all that time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Tony, if you have, come on after. Make a lot more sense this stream. What else have we got in here? Bearded Fish Guy, Evening Reefers, won't be able to catch the start, but we'll definitely tune in later once everyone is asleep and it's tank maintenance time. Okay, evening. Johnny Boy, happy Friday to you, John Boy. Hope you're good.
Hey,
hello, John. How you doing?
Hope you're good, mate. Leroy's in the house.
Hey, Lee.
What's up, Lee?
He's not had a good week, I don't think.
Oh, no, he's had a fish pass, hasn't he, unfortunately. Which one was it? Achilles?
The Achilles hybrid, I think, yeah.
Dear. He'd just get another one out of his mum's cupboard. Techers Reef. Sorry. Techers Reef, evening Techers. Hope you're good.
Terry.
Now, I'll keep it clean, but it was entertaining Wednesday night with you guys, Steve, this gentleman, and Matt. Evening, Harry.
Oh, it's the spiritual reacher.
I knew you couldn't
Harry.
resist.
All right, Harry.
Oh
He's
dear.
a lovely guy. I had a
He
good
is a
laugh.
lovely guy. Yes, even Harry. Jill's Aquarium, what we got? Welcome to Leicester. Mo, you've got an avatar. Welcome to Leicester. If you can hear us. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us, Mo. It's not looking good.
Hey,
Oh dear. We will battle on. Hopefully we'll get it sorted. Let's have a look. Reefer Reese, evening Reefer Reefy Reese. Sorry. Good evening, everyone.
You right there?
Yes. It's only 8:10. I've only had one beer
Yeah.
so far. We're good yet. We're good. Imi, evening.
Oh, Imi.
that's new.
That is new, yeah.
Mo's texting me. Tom, I can't hear you guys for some reason. Let's have a look. 2 mins, and we can do a test. You've seen it live, everybody.
Yes.
Right. Who else have we got? Dave. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Dave.
Oh, look, he's got his
Just
own little
Dave.
avatar now.
Just Dave.
Yes, just Dave.
Dude, love Dave.
Sure.
Evening, Matt. Hope you're good.
Hey, Matty,
Matt.
bye.
Nice to see you Wednesday night.
Got that
Very good.
sponsorship yet?
Yeah. Covered in honey.
Lovely, honey.
And we've got Mylot, if I'm pronouncing it right, or My10TT.
Ah, yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Who else we got? Woody's Reefers in the house. Hey, Reefers.
Woody.
Good evening.
We've got the Practical Reefer.
Hello.
Not heard of this guy before.
Hey.
Marmalade.
Hey, Jimothy.
Jimothy. Good old Alan's in the house. Hope you well,
Evening,
Alan.
Hello, Alan.
Put off his new tank delivery due to icy conditions.
Yeah.
Bollocks. Sorry, something in my bullshit.
Evening, Ben. Welsh Ben. Hope you're good, mate. How you doing? Who else we got? Zach is here.
Hey,
Zachy boy.
Oh, hello, Zach.
Bolus me up,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, we will discuss
We'll
bonus.
probably
Find me
talk
a
about
beer
that at
first,
some point.
Well, I
This
say
evening.
we will discuss it if we have any ego, we will.
Well, I'm going to do the call outs. I'm going to leave you guys. I'm going to put you guys on the spot to talk amongst yourselves with the viewers. He's gone. And he will probably come back. We shall see. But hopefully, we'll get Mo talking in a second. Who else we
It's
got?
a new
here?
game. Mo, no
It's a
Mo.
new game. Go, Mo, no, find the Mo. Drew is here. Hi, everyone. Is this gentleman from Ultimate Reef? Yes, it is. Absolutely amazing tank and fish collection. Very jealous. Yes. Hopefully we're going to go through that not so long. Go on then.
Dave.
It's normally Ron that does it, so that's why I was showing up.
Starfish.
Steve.
Starfish
Steve.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
I've got a soundbite. Hold on. Come on, Ron. Find it. Here we go.
Yeah, wee jobby.
There we go.
There we go. Very good.
Very good.
Anthony, you came on 20.
Anthony.
Happy Friday to you.
Where is
It's going to
Anthony
take
in the world?
2 hours to get through the names, doesn't it?
He's not on Discord. He's not. Where is this Anthony guy? Who is he? Does anybody
It's
know?
in the ether.
Well, it could be from
He could.
who knows.
Yeah.
Critical Reefer, evening, Critical Reef. Nice to see you.
Oh, he's from
Chat.
Cornwall. He's a
It is.
baker. He makes pasties.
It's a pasty man.
Yes.
Does it? Well, he needs to
Critical
send
base.
some up here for
I'm first. I'm first.
well, they need to go past
Yeah.
me to get
Yeah,
to
I was
you.
going to say
so-
we've got to go past. Yeah, I mean, to be
I'll
fair, I
send
think
you
they
the
go past me
crumbs.
first.
Past you or past D?
Mm.
past him to get to past me. Well, past Anyway, moving on. Haley, evening, Haley. How are you?
Hi.
Happy Friday. Practical Reefer. Hello, Practical Reefer. I think we've already shouted out to you. Yes, we've done it.
Yeah.
I know. It's so hard to
Was it?
remember who
I
you've
know,
said hello
I
to.
know.
Dazza, evening, Dazza. We've
Hey,
already
Daz.
we've already had this conversation, Daz. So that's your own fault for tuning in late. Should have been earlier.
I mean, where in Leicester is RO?
Mm.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Reef 216, hello. Hope you're good.
Hello.
Willstone Reefer, go on then.
Hello, Willstone Reefer. You're landing, Willstone Reefer.
That was hilarious.
That
was brilliant on Discord the other day.
Willstone Reefer, your landing gear is down.
If you haven't seen it, you haven't got a clue what we're talking about. Just for that, literally comedy value, you need to watch it back. It was.
What's for dinner, Willstone Reefer? Over.
It was very good. It was very good. But evening, Willstone Reefer. I hope you're having a good Friday, and I hope you have a good weekend. Ian, Rob, evening everybody. Rodders is in the house. Back from Euro Disney.
Beautiful tank.
Yes, lovely tank.
Kind of dominating the living room a little bit there.
I think he's good, mate. It's a really good tank for a 14-year-old, isn't it? Sorry, 16-year-old. I'm making him leave. I'll make him leave.
Headset on.
Right, who else we got in here? Jupiter's Reef. Ian in Jupiter's Reef. Hello. Not seen you for a bit.
Evening.
Rory's Reefs. Hello.
Hey, Rory.
I think...
Is the stream working for anyone?
Anybody?
Most people, unfortunately, there's a certain individual it's not working for.
Yeah.
He's not important though. It's fine.
He's not important. We've got all the data. We've got all the content. We could talk about the time. We just guess what happened as we go along.
Make it up.
Make it much more entertaining. Zach, evening, Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, Zach.
The dub.
And I think we are... Oh, no. Sorry. That plant guy made one finally. Nice to see you, that plant guy.
Excellent. By the way, Mr. Sam Parker from Parker's Reef is in there somewhere.
Oh, is he?
Good evening, Sam.
Hello,
Good
Sam.
evening. Hello,
I
Sam.
missed that as well.
Who has a tank tour upcoming for Reefy AF.
Pending.
Really?
Yes.
Have you had a response yet? Has it all been locked down?
It's booked in.
Or is it all cemented?
It's done.
Oh,
Sam says he's actually going to come on the screen at the same time as us as well. It's been novel.
Oh, dear. Anyway. Melinda, good evening, Melinda. Thanks for joining us. Happy Friday. What else have we got in there?
I was talking about Melinda today. She's absolutely amazing. See the fact that we don't have enough women in reefing. Melinda is actually making that deficit up just purely with her personality.
Yeah.
She has been such a breath of fresh air to meet her.
She is fun.
She's brilliant.
Yeah, very good.
She will be on Sam Parker's tank tour.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Nick and Stacey, evening, everybody. Evening, Nick and Stacey. I hope you're
from
good.
Scotland.
Really? You make it sound like the other end of the world, other side of the world.
Yeah.
Wrong.
I think you know them then, do you?
They're way north. I don't actually know them personally, but they're way north of me.
Oh, okay.
They're up Aberdeen way, I think. If I might be wrong.
Okay. Good evening, though. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
That's to know you've got internet and electricity up there. Wrapped up in nice and warm.
That's it, yeah. It started well before you slated them.
Leah, Big Tank Friday. Yes, hopefully. I'm going to leave in a second and hopefully help him with his technology and we'll get him on while the two Ronnies, Robbies, whatever you want to call them, can talk amongst themselves for 5 minutes. Evening Bandit, Drippy Reef Geek is in the house. He was going to be joining us, but he's playing taxi service or has been with work. Bless him. So he got it sorted out.
He's able to sit there in the chat, though.
Of course he is.
You know,
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Fucker.
And I think we are thereabouts. There is that. Oh, sorry. Triggerfish 45. Hello, Triggerfish 45.
Hello.
Good evening. Parker's Reef. Never heard of him before. Nice avatar. Sam, hope you're good, mate. Hope you're good. Happy New Year to you. I'll be in touch soon about having a catch up with you. Be nice to see you back on again. Have a catch up with us. And I've got Invert Phil.
It's inverted penis Phil. Yep. I remember that guy.
That what it is. Okay.
Yep.
That's it.
Good evening.
And he says the ice strikes again. I know it goes even further inside when that happens.
It does, yes.
Is that what it is?
Full
Yeah.
location.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Timothy's in the house. Wakefield Reef. Evening, Tim. Hope you're good. I need some more Phyto off you. I will ring you tomorrow. I will ring you tomorrow. Devil's Reef. That's a new one.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's a new one.
Very dark. Okay.
Yeah. Nice avatar.
He's having a
Nice avatar. And I think... Oh, no. Every time I say I think somebody else pops up. Paul Davenport, My Little Lagoon. Good evening to you, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Is Coral Head new? Not new, as in, but have you said him?
Thank you.
I've not, no.
Where's Peter Parry? There he is. He's just joined.
Hang on. Oh, yeah, that's Corey from Nios. Evening, Corey. Hope you're good.
Yeah.
Hope you're mate, from over in Germany. Thanks for sharing the other week in terms of the Nios stuff. He's going to be coming on and talking to us soon when it's released in the UK, because it'd be really good for him to answer some questions live. So thanks for that. Appreciate your support. And there you go.
Hey!
Like a spoke and appeared.
He is.
Hey,
Yeah.
Peter. Good
I had
to
some pickled peckles earlier as well.
Well, the most important thing is that neither of you offended him enough for him to come back for seconds.
Good to see. Yeah.
I mean, it's a fucking nursery rhyme. I mean, if you get offended over a nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
I didn't say Peter Parry the pedo.
Exactly. I mean, you have now.
I have now, haven't I?
Yeah.
So we'll just... This isn't live, though, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right. I've got Mo texting me in the private. We can't see you.
Oh, yeah, so there he is.
So he's in the private chat saying, hi, we can't see you. No.
Is he not in the green room?
Yeah, he's in the green room. Not sure what's going on. Me neither. 2 secs, and I'll do a test with you. You're seeing it live, everybody?
Yes.
There we go.
So, Rob, what have you been up to this week? Anything interesting?
Nope.
No.
Right.
Brilliant. Lovely filler.
No, this week's been you know what this week's been. So yeah,
That's why I asked.
thanks. But I don't think everyone wants to hear about the dramas that have
the ranting of Ron, as I call it.
Yeah. Own 3 vehicles, all fucked. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
What about you?
Me?
Yeah, do you have your breaker fixed yet? You don't. do
No.
you?
No, I've been ghosted by my Sparks. I've sent him several messages and I've had no response whatsoever.
Is it because it's too small a job? Is it just not worth?
I do think. I mean, he lives very local to me, so I've just said on your way home one night, I think you could just pop in and have a look. And obviously he's gone. No.
Is there a chance it's working perfectly fine, and when he turns up, you'll be like,
I mean, I'd like to be wrong. It's one of those occasions I'll be very happy if I was wrong and it is working, but everything suggests it isn't. So
yeah. I mean, the whole point of the backup is that it.
I mean, I've never had an inverter which, when you flick the power off, it doesn't flick from mains power to inverter, and this just stays on mains power, even though there's no power. So
what?
Huh? Well, that's what happens when I flick the breaker. I flick the breaker, and the inverter just stays exactly the same as when the power's on. So I'll go like that with the breaker on, off, on, off, on, off.
But is that not because it's still getting a live feed from the main? So when you're flicking the breaker, it's supposed to move from mains electricity to batteries?
Yes. This is why I think the breaker's broken.
Yeah, so you don't need a automatic changeover switch then, do you? Because it's just batteries. That's a generator I'm thinking of. Completely out of my depth here.
Yeah. Right.
No,
sorry, gentlemen, to interject. Ron, he's on a Mac.
Oh, he can't use anything but Google Chrome.
Oh, he is using Chrome.
Oh.
Well, he was on, wasn't he?
He was on.
So what he had was working.
Yeah, so wait a minute. He's in StreamYard.
He's going to reboot, he says now in the chat.
But he was still chatting in StreamYard, so was he still in the green room?
He's in the green room, but there's no camera.
User error.
Right. was going to say, he's like, unplugged it.
Tom just keeps kicking him. Just
Yeah.
Anyway, as we normally do on a Friday, just a little bit of normal entertainment.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. So I think it's not switching this thing. So I did that, didn't I? And then I spoke about my weird ICP results for my RO water.
That kind of took me aback a little.
And it did me as well.
I mean, phosphates is one thing, but finding
boron, boron, silica, right? Yeah, maybe that can get through an RO, can't it?
Yeah.
But it's way higher in my pure RO water than it is in my tank. I was just like, weird. So's the boron. I've got higher boron in my RO than I have in the tank. I was just like, so the only difference I made is I do it probably once or twice a year. I just send off, if you get the, I don't know what it's called, but they allow you to do one of the vials to test your RO water. So I do them like maybe once, twice a year. And normally I switch the RO on and I just run it into the vial, send it off. So I've done that the last 4 years. Always comes back clean. This time I thought, I'll take the RO from the bin, which has been sitting there, which I fill up, and I run it through the little
bin. No,
just Sainsbury's, at the back of Sainsbury's in one of their bins.
Flick the fajitas off the top.
That's it. Well, I might as well have from the result I got. Yeah. So this time, I run it from the bin through the Versa because I use a calc stirrer. So I pull the RO out through the Versa into the calc stirrer. So I thought I'll just pull the line off. I'll fill it up with the RO coming out of the bin, and I've got those weird results: super high phosphates, super high boron, super high silicates, and sulfur.
So the only other thing that's in that bin you said to me was a Neptune PMUP.
Yeah, it's a PMUP pump in there.
Did you check?
Which has been in there. I'm a reef keeper, Ron. I've not done a single thing.
No.
Because, but I mean, I didn't do a test because I've got any problems. It's not like I've got an issue in the tank. I just did it out of interest, and then it's come back, and I've just gone, it's weird. So, over the weekend or probably Monday when I do my maintenance, I'll take, I don't even use that pump. I don't use an ATO because everything goes through the Versa pump.
So what's it doing in there then?
So, I put it in there when I set the tank up originally, and then I moved over to calc, and I used all of the evaporation through. So it's just sat there for 2 years doing bugger all. I'll probably pull out, just be like a hunk of rust. Could be it.
I think other stuff would have showed up if it was the pump.
Yeah, I don't think it probably is, but I'm gonna clean it out. I'll citric acid it all, and just give it a good clean and whatever. Because
is it a fully sealed container? There's no chance of anything dripping or running or condensating or.
Not really. I mean, it's a sealed. It's direct tanks.
Yeah, I've got most of them. Yeah,
it's one of those. It's a 200-litre tank that I'll just add. Yeah.
Does it get the wee red section on top of the lid?
Yeah, on the top. Yeah, and it's covered with a board over the top as well. So it's got a shelf over the top of it. So it's not easily accessible for something to get in there. But it's just a bit weird.
But you've never had a bad ICP suggesting your boron's through the roof when you do a sample from your tank water?
No.
Just fucking ignore it then.
Well, to be fair, that's my default position with most ICP results, to be honest. I
was hoping you'd say that, Ron. I'll take that advice.
Yes. I cherry pick the advice I like, and I'm liking that. Yeah. I'll probably clean the container out.
Oh.
Hello, what's that? Hey, here he is.
I can't hear you though.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you fine.
So you need to walk more through how we can select.
Yeah, I'll ring him now. Just one second. I'll mute myself 1 second.
So I have to do that every time I do this. There we go. Back to you and me, Rob.
Oh, I can hear you.
I can hear us now.
Sorted.
Yeah.
You can hear us. Yeah.
Tom looks like a tit now.
Yeah. Now Tom will be on mute.
Yeah.
Are we good? Are we good?
He was.
I think so. Yeah.
can
Are we
hear
good?
Right.
Hey!
Yeah.
25 minutes in.
Right. Mo,
Right.
don't touch anything, Mo.
Oh,
Get that
good
man
luck,
to
guys.
wave.
Thanks very much.
Get that man to wave.
Yeah, so the slideshow now, the slides are now 5 seconds.
That's it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Ron,
Let's do it.
like we do with the rules, Ron, can you please explain what's go with the content tonight, please?
Right, so listen, we've only got a certain amount of time before we all die, okay? So this is a massive amount of content we're about to flash on the screen. We have limited time, therefore, each section, each photo will only be on screen a certain amount of time. Please, if you have any questions about anything during this slideshow, don't ask right now. Wait until the end and then ask in the comments, because we're not all going to be able to correlate it all together. So please, questions at the end. Mo is going to narrate the best he can.
How long is it, roughly? How long
The
have I
first-
got to wait?
Well, every slide's about 15, 20 seconds. And Mo, your first tank I've managed to condense into 45 minutes. There is over 150 slides. So when he sent me the links, so I said, can you set? So obviously Mo was meant to come on a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad he didn't, because it was Christmas and I would have been working throughout. And he sent me the links, and I was like, there's 355 pages. Are you taking the bleep? So, and then last night at 3 minutes to 10, as I've told many a person today,
He has mentioned it, Mo.
as I was climbing into
heard
bed,
it.
I got a WhatsApp saying, "Hey Tom, I've just uploaded another folder of the sump and the pipework for you." And I was like,
Mo's now from LA, apparently.
Yeah.
Mo's moving on. So anyway, so we're going to do it in two halves. We're going to go over not your first tank, but the tank before the tank you've got now, because I think that sets a bit of a precedent for people who've, maybe not seen
it's
it.
the first one. Yeah,
Okay.
nobody's really seen the original first one. So,
and then at the end of that, when we get to the fish and the corals and the nice bits, we'll finish, and then we should have, hopefully, fingers crossed, 15, 20 minutes for you to, if you don't mind, answer some questions from the viewers in the comments before we head over to the current tank that is looking very nice behind you. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
So, let me make sure I've got this in the right order. So, here we go. Please load. Please load.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's tank at night.
That was like lights out.
That's a close up of the first black tank.
Oh, dear. Won't you just love it? Good old technology. Right, Mo, here we go. Let's try this
taking
one.
me all week to do this.
Oh,
So
doesn't like that
you've
file.
dated it. So shall I tell you what this is?
You can.
So basically, my old house, detached attic, excuse my coughing. That was the driveway. So that's the back of the driveway where the garage was. We got planning permission to convert the driveway, which is there, into an extension. So we had my study at the front, then it would be kitchen, utility room, kitchen, and then at the back would be a tank room. Tank room, effectively where the old garage was. And so that's the length of it. I think it was about 25 meters long. Most of it was the kitchen. And there you go. So that's the slab, and then we added the drains there. You can see the drains. So I had a drain in the back corner for draining the skimmer out, and then a drain just behind the sump, which is the round drain you can see in the middle there. And then that was the back of the kitchen. So those blocks there is where the kitchen stops, and that again, that was the slab for the sump room. And the back of the sump stopped where that drain is that you can see there on the left by the stick. And in front of that was the tank. So the tank was 6 foot wide across, 8 foot front to back, and 3 foot high. So yeah, that's basically. Is
that a wall?
Yeah, it's a wall. There's 3 walls there. So just in the foreground, you can see the door that goes out into the garden, and then the door that goes into the sump room at the back. And in between there, we basically put above the foundations. If you look on the bottom left, you see 2 little PVC pipes are gone now. That was connected to my previous tank. So this is looking down through the kitchen. which will become the kitchen, and the tank. So the tank was sat right there on that pitch roof. But below that pitch roof. And then as we go through, you'll start to see, the roof. So we the beam in the foreground is exactly where the back of the kitchen is. So that was where the front of the tank was. And then you can look down that view, 6 foot across. There's a 1 foot either side, so that's 8 foot block to block across. And so there's a foot either side. And then I put all the sockets in there, so I could plug the pumps and whatnot in there. And then out the back there is all where the equipment was. And the top left where you see all those wires, that was where we had the consumer unit up there. And then my sump stack. So I put a network cable in with the assumption that I'll put a camera in and network it and blah, blah, blah. Good ideas.
Yeah.
It ended up being too high. so the view wasn't brilliant. So I never connected it really. So it just ended up with a network cable dangling from the kitchen ceiling. But the idea was a good one. And then so there you go. That's the door into the sump room. Sockets on the back wall for chiller and whatnot. I had well, that'll go through. You'll see. Yeah, so you see on the left and the right there, you see that just built up a layer of bricks built up from the foundations. So we put RSJs across it, so the whole weight of the tank would sit down on the foundations. And then I had a sump underneath, fiberglass sump that I put underneath. And then the background was the basically the sump room.
Are you married?
Yeah.
Why are you inquiring?
No, I'm just wondering.
I'm sure he's going to say I was.
Yeah.
I'm sure Bernadette would have something to say about
that. It's nice.
So, yeah, it's decent. So this was above the kitchen, so we put some skylights in there. And so it went out from the old kitchen. We knocked the wall out, and you can walk into this part. So it ended up being a sort of L-shaped kitchen, but quite long. It's quite nice. So you walk into that bit, and right at the far end, you see the tank. So that was good. And that's the back wall of the extension. So you see in the foreground where the RSJs will go across, and then underneath that will be a sump tank, and then there'll be a sump stack in front of that consumer unit. Between the tank, back of the tank, and the consumer unit is a sump stack. So I had eventually my frag tanks and things on there. And then I had an 8-tube UV sat on the floor. I basically put Unistrut sliders in, and I used metal halides. So I had the Giesman Spectras. I had 3 of them, and they were 6 foot long. So I started off, that was 9 400-watt radiums and 12 T5s. So that was basically my lighting system. So we could slide it out when I wanted to service it. Was the whole point of those sliders. And then that was in front of the tank. So that's the kitchen ceiling. And then that was the network cable in theory.
Wow.
And it was a bit too high really. And then I had to put a sort of 12-inch stalk down, which I couldn't be bothered. So that was the front of the tank. So that was the top bit. So we're looking from the sump room into the kitchen. And so we boarded that up, and that's where I put my ballasts up on there. And then you can see the Unistrut. So I basically ran the Giesman units across there, and I trimmed the cables down and plugged them straight into the magnetic ballasts. Put final flooring down. Excuse me. And then that was the drain just at the back of the sump. So that worked out quite well. Hopefully I'll be able to show you why. Because when I was doing water changes, my water change tank was on the bare floor there. We did vinyl it, but I had a 5-foot tank on the floor there, and just into that drain that we just saw, I had a tap, and I put a bulkhead on the sump at the level I wanted it, so I can drain the excess water off, and I just pump change water into the main tank, and it would circulate back into the sump and overflow into the drain. So it's really easy to do water changes. So I did a water change on that tank every week for 8 years. So it was pretty easy to do. And then maybe 7 years, and I suddenly stopped. So there's the RSJs going across. So we put loads of them. And that was Den and Paul. Paul actually built my second extension as well.
Paul who?
Paul's on the left. Paul, what's your name? What's your name, Paul?
We love a Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots.
Can't remember his surname now.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's not falling down, is it? That's a lot of RSJs.
I wasn't going anywhere. I did the same again. Some people used to laugh about the number of RSJs that got put in there, and then I didn't move a muscle for 10 years, so I did the same again for this one.
Is anyone else?
I actually went back.
So this is the tank before the tank we have now.
Yes.
This is the big tank. This is the original big tank, the one that's on Ultimate Reef.
Right. Okay. What?
So that platform is 8 foot by 8 foot, which is actually the size of my current tank. But the one that we had there was 6 foot across and 8 foot front to back. And Seabray built it. So this is Sam retired literally about the time I was having that tank. So he designed my tank and then retired basically. So there's a last.
It's too much for him.
Yeah.
I've had enough of this. I need to get out.
But he obviously he's been doing tanks for years and years and years.
I bet there's a few sledgehammers in that van.
So the boys coming into the back. That's the
tank. That's not 8 foot BA.
That was it. 6 by 8. That one, believe it or not.
Wow.
So that was the water change tank, I think. That was the frame for the base.
Wow.
Heavy. That was one man couldn't lift that. It was about a 3-man lift. That. I mean, it's surprisingly heavy.
Is that powder coated still? Is it?
Yeah, I was just about to say it's powder coated.
Yeah, but it's surprising. It looked like it was just a flimsy frame, but literally, when we took it apart, it was heavy.
Awkward pause.
That guy jumping out the back of the van looks like he's singing "My Old Man's a Dustman."
Yeah.
So basically, awkward pause again.
So you can't get to that room other than going out and round to those doors then, because the tank blocks.
Previously. So that was the door to the back of my kitchen, and then it was a single view, single pane, and it was just a front to back view, and then so I had to run out through that door there and run to the back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
And then the back room was basically where all the equipment was. So you'll see that, but you certainly cut and pasted every single picture, didn't you, Tom?
I must have missed about 40, so trust me, I didn't do every one. But I've been busy. Yeah, you've had me working for a change.
What's that on? Polystyrene? Just
Sam actually said, "I'll just plonk it on the plywood," but I got a bit paranoid, and I was told you need to have some sort of support. So we got 2 polystyrene sheets, and they usually 8 by 2, I think, or 8 by 4. We put two of those down, and that was enough. And then they my OCD kicked in because they were building a tank and it was really wet outside, and there's loads of mud, and they were just kicking the mud up onto the polystyrene, so I had footprints on the polystyrene under the tank for 10 years. If you've got OCD, do your nutting.
Yeah.
I feel sick.
Yeah.
And lots of silicon. Lots of silicon.
Yeah, I can't remember. I did count the number of tubes that he had actually at the time. Told me they just bought up boxes and boxes of these.
What's it called?
I think it's called Silirub. Yeah, it's a black silicone.
I think I paid for one of them in the past.
Silirub.
Silirub, yeah.
Like as in Cilla Black.
Yeah.
SILI.
Surprise.
Right between the eyes.
Yeah. So we did. What did we do? The sides were just normal glass, and the front was OptiWhite.
OptiWhite, yeah.
Because it's just a one side viewable. Well, I could see I had a hole in, because you'll see I had ceramic rocks, and ceramics weren't done in domestic tanks at that time.
Yeah,
this must have been one of the first ones that had ceramics. So it came from Germany, and I basically had ceramic walls around the side,
and then ceramic rock work down sort of canyon style, and yeah, it was just full of ceramics everywhere. And then it made me a hole in the back, so I could go into the back and I could look into the tank just through a little area. I was a bit paranoid about having the back open, but with hindsight, I probably just left the back open so you could see the front and the back, and have a canyon either side would have worked all right. But yeah,
what's that? 19mm glass? Is that
19mm? It was, yeah. So the base I think was twin 15. It might have been twin 19, but I may have been twin 15, and the sides were definitely 19. Yeah. So they came crack at dawn. They were there about 6:30 or something, and then they left at almost midnight. It was a full day for them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They did the whole building one session, so to speak. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There were 3 of them. And they certainly knew what they were doing. But it was all planned before, the pieces were cut. They knew which piece was which, all the straps, the frames, top and bottom. And you could tell they'd made a tank before.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still build for Seabray, actually. Is Seabray still going?
God knows, I'd not heard of them before, to be fair, until you sent me this.
They were good. They were good, yeah. I mean, obviously that tank lasted ages, so that was a solid build.
They were still going.
Yeah.
Wow. Were they clean builders, Mo, or were you constantly picking empty tubes of silicon up?
No, they're good. They're good. Apart from the footprints.
I can see the footprints there, yeah.
Yeah. So apart from that, no, they were good. They were really good.
Oh, they've got their shoes off now. Good boys.
Well, look, yeah, so you made your footprints. Now take your shoes off.
Wow. Crikey. So double bass then, yeah?
Yeah, it was double bass.
Like
Double bass and straps on the top. So they put straps over to protect the silicone seams. But the two bases, they had them in different directions. So actually the overlap was just a point overlap in terms of the silicone lines.
Oh, so they orientated the
that was going front to back.
Yeah.
That's going front to back, and the other ones will go across it.
Yeah.
So they're going in different directions, and then so this, the silicone's only overlapping for a point in each of the 3 planes.
Who spec the double base more? I mean, some might say that is over the top.
Possibly, I don't know what the recommendation would be, but Sam was about to retire, and then he said, "Look, I'll sort your tank out," and then he said, "Right, this is what I recommend." And excuse me, yeah, he said, "This is what I recommend," and I said, "Well, yeah, let's do it." Now, all I wanted was the nice clear front window, and then and he said in theory the higher iron glass is stronger. I don't know if it's true, but so he spec that, and then he did say clear silicone was slightly stronger than black, but not there's not much in it. So
what thickness is that glass, Mo?
19mm, that is. That's the blue paint at the front. So you can see on the edge, when you look down the edge, the normal glass is green and the OptiWhite is blue.
Yeah,
so that's
see that they're carrying in now, that piece. Yeah, they're carrying in. Yeah. Wow.
So that's a front panel. And they did it. Yeah, did it all in one day. It took maybe about a week, 2 weeks to sort of design it and cut the glass and everything, and then just did a day job to fit it all together.
All right.
Wow.
And that's 3 foot, you say, the height?
Height, yeah, 36 inches, yeah. So it's almost waist height. You stand up next to it, and that you see, there's a foot. In those days, I could manage to get down there, down a foot, but yeah. So there's a foot gap on either side, and that allowed me to.
Does that guy know how silicon works?
The guys,
squeezing it out of the tube, just pouring it on.
It's not fucking toothpaste.
Yeah, I think they thought it was. I mean, the number of tubes they had, it probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you can see that they didn't use any fancy tools. They used to use the other end of an
I was going to say the other end of the tube. Yeah, that's novel.
So so slick the way they finished it off.
Okay.
And I think that's the point where he realised he's trapped inside and they buggered off. But there wasn't on that. So that 3 foot height. You have to, when you get up onto the sides to service the tank, you are sort of slightly like he's arched over. You are kind of arched over up against the ceiling. So it was a little bit awkward to sort of service it. Yeah, and so 3 foot height, and then if you're trying to get down to the bottom, the other side, inside the tank, you have to wear a snorkel mask, and which worked quite well because you got both arms free. But it's quite a way down. So you have to sort of be careful about where you position your corals or your rocks and stuff.
So when you built this extension, Mo, did you build the tank to the extension or the extension to the tank? What was the thought process?
Thought process to keep my wife happy. So as always, she's like, look, I think we need a bigger kitchen, and I was like, definitely,
good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it? And I know, well, there's a bit of space at the back. Well, there will be.
Yeah.
And then, it doesn't matter if it's a wall. It doesn't matter if it's a wall or a pane of glass at the end.
Very true.
So I got them to put the tank connectors on over the weir box. That's the the weir box, the silicone in. And again, you see there, you're using clear silicone. And that was his theory, but slightly stronger. Right. I don't think it's much difference, to be honest. But anyway, so they said you're not going to see it, so we'll use clear. So I had corner weirs at the back, and two 63mm pipes. So the theory about 63mm pipes, I think I had a Biz pumps then. They were called Tritron back then. I think I got them from Claude Schumacher, and they were Tritron, and then they were talking about, got this new name. I think we're going to call it a Biz, and I said, oh, that's rubbish. And they said, well, tough. I called it a Biz. Yeah. So I had the original Triton pumps, and then they had, I think, a 40mm connector on the output side, and the instructions were, you don't want to restrict it, so you want to open it. So I thought, well, I don't want a restriction, so I'll go 63mm. So I put 63mm pipework in on the return, so it was probably overkill. And because I had on the returns, I thought I don't want to mess around with the drains, so I put 63mm pipework everywhere, which actually worked quite nicely because I had loads of redundancy to be able to whack the flow up. So I had
huge though.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, two, and they basically I just put the tank connectors on the back, on the bulkhead, and whacked them straight down through the floor. So I drilled the plywood there and just put them straight down into the sump. And the sump was just open, nobody had used it before. And there were always, when I started the tank, it took ages to mature, and there were all sorts of theories about how fiberglass in the sump isn't going to, it's just that's what's killing your corals, or it's leaching and blah, blah, blah. And eventually I was like, oh, shall I get rid of it? Shall I change it to glass? Shall I do this? And by the time I was umming and ahhing about it, all stabilized and it was fine. And it has actually worked pretty well. Wow. And then I could just put a basket of Calerpa in there, or Cheeto out of egg crate, and just stick it in there and put a cheap light over the top. And I did that for a while to keep nutrients down. And then there were the Abyss pumps in there, and I had a whacking great big skimmer in there. And then eventually I had you might see it on the equipment there, but I had a big Bubble King 500.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what I did for that, because as the tank starting to initially, starved of nutrients, big tanks to get starved, and then suddenly they kick off, and then they pick up nutrients, and then you're chasing your tail with nutrients. So then eventually there were too many nutrients in the tank, so I whacked the big Bubble King 500 in the sump stack and converted one of those tanks into part of the sump, and that worked a real treat. And I could just drain it down into the corner drain, and that worked really, really well. But yeah, so and I don't know if you guys, that's the 12 inches I used to walk down. Wow. If you guys know this, Steve Wiest, have you heard of Steve Wiest?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Oregon Reef. So you've not seen it, Tom?
No.
Best
is he from Leicester or is he from Bristol?
Nah, I think he's from Bristol.
Why then?
I think the name gives it away, doesn't it? So Steve had the Oregon Reef, and it was 6 foot by 3 foot. No, 6 foot by 8 foot by 30 inches. And if you haven't seen it, it is the best tank ever. Like, nothing can compete with it. And I just thought, well, that's my favorite tank ever. I'm just going to copy it. and obviously never can because that was such a pristine tank. But it was 6 foot by 8 foot, and that's why I thought, well, let me see if I can. I was always
Or one step bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was thinking, well, should I put a 15-foot tank? It was 16 foot long, that room. Should I put a 15-foot tank and leave that front open so I can walk down it and put a sump underneath it, or shall I do 6 by 8? And then in the end, I just thought 6 by 8. You know that front to back, you can't emulate that front to back. And then those were the Giesman, so the Spectras that you can see there. They worked a treat, and that was so actually there's a chap called Scoob who was on Ultimate Reef, and he had it advertised as Bubble King 500, and literally at the time I wanted one, he'd advertised it, and he was using, I think the pump blocks had broken something, so he's using aftermarket pump blocks on it. So he posted it on Ultimate Reef, and that was how it was running in his tank. So I went and got it, and then I ran it on my tank. And then that's the entrance. That's the utility room. So that's the far end of the kitchen, and then that'll be the entrance to the kitchen far end. So they broke through the wall, and then you come down this way, and this is looking from the sump room into the kitchen, and that's where I had the magnetic ballast. And then I basically put sockets up there on that plywood sheet, and it was quite neat. Yeah. Those lights were amazing. And then what was that? Glass sump. What did I do? Oh, that was originally the glass sump. Oh, I must have turned it the other way around. I didn't realize I had that as a sump. So I took the baffles out and we used it as a water change tank. I think they bought it as a sump, and I said, no, I don't want that as a sump. And I made them change it there and then. And
so that's the view from the kitchen, isn't it? Is that right?
That was
that's
it,
the view from your kitchen.
So basically, they boarded it up. And then I put kitchen units in front of that, and a worktop, and then that was it. That was the view into it. And then as I put rocks in, there's rocks all the way around, 3 faces.
I've got pictures of that. Don't you worry. Plenty more to come.
So yeah, we had put a TV in there actually in that wall. They put an RSJ across it so I can stick a TV in the wall, and then there was a sink in the middle of the kitchen, and then underneath the tank there was a big space where I just put storage. So I just put kitchen units in there and kitchen doors, and put a load of storage in there. And now the thing is, they built this tank, and then obviously my extension hadn't finished, and it took me a year from the time they built the tank to the time I got it wet.
Wow!
What? A year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
see, Alan, it's worth waiting.
And then where they boarded it up. So that was the front of the tank. It was boarded up for a good 6 months. And they left that. I made them take the board off to take the cups out. They boarded it all up. And then I used to just sit inside it, do the rock work. I decided to tint the outside because obviously I didn't want to see all the grot behind the rocks. So in the top room, so we got the window tinter to tint it, which I think was a nice job. And then we had to wait for the ceramics to come through. They were specially made, Torsten Korallenvelt they were. And so he sorted me out with those, and that was the tint on there. And then I plumbed it, and plumbing the tank took ages. Doing all that stuff just took ages. But I used to do it, come after work and in the weekends, and it just took an age, and we were still finishing off the extension, so all of that had to get done.
Oh, kitchen's in.
And, getting there. It's getting there. So basically, there was the kitchen. There was a preparation area there, and then just in the foreground, you can just see in the bottom of the picture. There's a little island going across. That was where the sink was. So the sink looked straight into the tank. And so you could stand at the sink and just look into the tank. And then to the right of the sink was a TV on the wall. And then to the left behind, there was the kitchen oven and stuff. And then it would walk back round to the utility room. And then they were the halides. So 400 watts. So they had 4 T5s and 3 400-watt halides. And this was passive cooling. There was no fans or anything. And you can see I've pulled out the middle one, so that's back out over the sump room, so I can just sort of unplug them and slide them out. And And then I went from sort of whites and blues to eventually just all blue tubes, T5s. And then we had ATI T5s, blues,
What,
and
blue
then we went
pluses?
Nava. Yeah, blue plus, and then I switched them to Nava blues. I don't know if you remember Nava blues. So Nava blues were about they're about £3 each, and they were exactly the same bulb.
Really?
They were exactly the same bulb, yeah. And so I switched it slowly over to Nava blues. But funny thing is, I bought a load of ATI T5s, and I've got a box of blue plus T5 tubes still. There you go. That's the Oregon Reef's light. That's the Oregon Reef's light rack. That's Steve Reef's light rack for his Oregon Reef.
Right. Okay.
So he had how many? So he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he had about 10 400-watt halo. So that's my sump stack on the side there. And that was my RO thing, commercial RO machine. And then we put that.
2 photos. My OCD was going crazy with the angle there. That's 2 photos. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob.
As well. I just
apologise.
So then that was the skimmer that I bought, and I've still got it. It's fantastic, that skimmer. But this time I actually bought a new that was an external one, and I switched it into internal. So you could actually buy an external and just drill the base, and it would it wouldn't float. But if you just put an external one into a sump, it'll float. Those were. Do you remember Ching Chai? Anyone ever remember Ching Chai on Reef Central?
No.
No, you guys. So Ching Chai had the second most amazing tank in the world. So he had like an acrylic tank you could walk around in Thailand, and it was about 5 foot tall. The most amazing SPS, the most amazing fish, and then he had it on Reef Central, and then he had this chiller stroke heater. And that picture that you just had, I got it from Thailand, so I got it imported.
Wow!
So you just run it as set the temperature, and that was it. It could heat and cool, and I had it outside and plumbed into the thing, and that was my sump. I decided to go with that sump in the end, so I bought a fiberglass tub, and then stuck it under the sump, and then plumbed in the Abyss pumps into it. I left it. I just threw that lid away. I didn't use it, and that was the space. Behind, so there was about 5 foot of space. So you see those pipes there, the PVC pipes. They come from my old tank, my number 1 tank, which is in the living room. And I just basically laid the pipes underneath the extension, connected it up into my living room, and just plumbed that straight into the sump. So I ran
you had 2 tanks in.
I had 2 tanks at that time, and the old one was actually quite basic, and there's a funny story behind it. But basically, I eventually connected. I had a sump in my dining room, and it didn't really work very well. But so I eventually plumbed it into one system, and then it worked nicely. But the funny thing is, when I got into, everyone asks the story, like, how did you get into reefs and how did you get into fish tanks and stuff? So I basically. You go to the circus or the fair, and you buy, you win a goldfish, whatever. Everyone's done that, but mine was we had the dining room, and we had an old set of doors between the dining room and the living room, and I wanted to get rid of it. So I thought, I'll just knock the wall out, and I know what, I'll put a fish tank in it. So I went to a few people and said I want a 6 foot high fish tank, and how wide is about 12 inches. And I've got about 6 foot. There's 6 foot by 6 foot by 1 foot. And then they just laughed, obviously, because so you can't do that. You're going to clean out. You can do this. I said, all right, then I'll go half height. So I built the wall. It's going to be 30 inches by 7 foot by still 12 inches, because that's all I got. That's the thickness on my wall, 12 inches. And eventually, I got Wolf Aquatics to build it. There's no sump in it, and then it wasn't really built for marines. It's built for tropical freshwater. And then when I went to pick up some fish, I said, "Oh yeah, I'll have one of those and one of those colourful ones." And the guys in the shop said, "No, you can't keep that with your tank." So my tank hadn't been built for marines; it had just been built for freshwater. So then I had it converted and blah blah blah. So, and that's how I got into marines. But as soon as I went into the how does this work? How do you systemize it? How does your sump work? How does it got that all converted? And then realized the tank was too small, and that's when I thought I had this crazy idea that I'm gonna have this big tank.
Right.
So originally, then I made these acrylic boxes to take filter socks.
Yeah.
But they were all right. Didn't really work so well. So eventually, I just put the socks over the pipes that drained, and because there were 63 or more pipes, I could just slide a sock over it. So that works better than those little tanks. And then I built these just to put Cheeto in. So eventually, when I needed some Cheeto, I just built these cages and dropped them into the tank.
Very smart, I must say. Very smart.
Yeah. Well, I just put a light over it, and it would just circulate the water. And then I just plonked 2 Abyss pumps in there. And then at some point, I think I took the big skimmer offline, changed the tanks out into frag tanks. And then in there, I put a Bubble King 300. Because, as time goes on, you don't need as much skimming as your tank matures. So I just got a smaller skimmer and put it in there. I took those boxes out in the end. And then I used Cheeto for ages, for a good 4 or 5 years. And eventually didn't need the Cheeto, just kept dying because I had so many corals, taking all the nutrients out. So that's all the plumbing that I did, sort of return into the sump. And so those are the returns from my first tank, the little tank. And then I just teed off the return back to it from one of the Abyss pumps, I think. Or I might have had a separate Eheim or something to feed it. And then this was just me doing all the plumbing. So that was a return line, 63 mil going up and over. And then the drains in the middle of the weir box.
Wow.
And then I can just put a ladder up and jump up on the platform.
Oh,
excuse me. I bought
titanium.
Originally I bought Red Dragons, and then they were supposed to be internal. And then when I finally got the Red Dragons, they were external versions, and so I just sent them back. This was Rob, I think, Fastlight. He said, "Oh, I don't have the internal versions." So I said, "Oh, I can't be using those then." So he took them back. It was fine. Rob was good, and I used to get all my radiums from Rob. I don't know. Does anyone run metal halides anymore?
Mecca's does.
That's to say, of course, Meckley does. Yeah,
I've still got these Giesmans. So I bought a pool pump titanium version. That was a 3 kilowatt heater, and I just plumbed it in line. This was the back wall of my extension, and then that was a sump stack on the left there. You can see it, and so it just went down into the tank and then back up into the sump stack, and then back into the tank, and it was all on the loop feeding the skimmer. And there I had that was just a sort of feed. I actually had biopellets as well, so it's a massive biopellet reactor I had. So when biopellets first came out, literally the Dutch guy who invented them, he sent me 20 liters to try out, and he said, "Oh, you need about, for your tank, you need about 11 liters."
Wow!
So he had a massive reactor for 11 liters, and it's completely stripped my tank. He said to me, "You can't overdose these pellets; it's impossible. It will titrate against your nutrient level." So I ran these pellets for months and months and months, and I had no nutrients, and the corals were they turned into like zeolite type. Yeah, and I was at the time I didn't realize it was the pellets, and then slowly, they sort of started running down. And there was one episode where I accidentally fed. If you look on that thread, you'll see I had a frozen food feeder as well. So it was like a freezer. It was up on the top of that stack, and I used to just pump water into it, and it would melt the food, and it would just drip down into my tank, into the Abyss returns and into the tank. It worked really well, except I used to feed about 3 or 4 times a day, and there were after I didn't realize, but after the second or third feed, the block of frozen food wouldn't refreeze. So then the third or fourth time you did it, so much food melted that half a block would just go into the tank. And I'd come home at night and I'd say, like, when I'd realized that this had happened, and you see the corals would suddenly be like magic colors and really healthy, and it's just because I chuck loads of food in, and then they strip again from the pellets, and then they'd be really zeo-colored again. So it was really weird at the time. Nobody knew that you can overdose pellets, and you don't want to use biopellets too much, but that was just amazing. Then this was another bright idea I had. So I did an up and over and did I was going to sort of do a reef flush under the rocks. So my returns were going to flush through the rocks, and instead of doing a closed loop, this was like it was a kind of a closed loop, but without drilling the tank.
It's like an external version.
Well, eventually I did it all. I spent ages doing the plumbing and whatnot, and then that was my frozen food freezer. There it is.
This is cool. This is clever. Oh, this is clever.
Yeah, this is good. Really, really well.
I like this.
But this is where I realised about the biopellets eventually. It wasn't like till 6 months later you just think back and think, when I dumped all that food in, the corals look really nice. It must have been because the biopellets were stripping out all the nutrients, and then I was dumping a shed load of food in, and the corals were perking up, and then the food is getting stripped again by the biopellets. But that's how I plumbed it in. So it sat on top of the sump stack, and it just went straight in and fed the tank. I had a flow meter on it. I had all sorts of crazy ideas. I had flow meters on it, so I can judge. They're pointless, but I can judge how much flow is going into the tank. And then that was nice. I had little Eheim pumps to feed the water change water up into the tank. That must have just been a row of phos reactor, but that just there, you'll probably see my biopellet reactor. It probably must have been about 2.5 foot tall. I've still got it somewhere.
Wow.
Jeez. It was about 11 litre, probably more. It'd take more. And there was a guy on eBay who made it for me. He's an acrylic guy, reefer as well, and I can't remember his name. Really nice guy, and he built it for me, and it was a really solid reactor. And then these are just probes. So I'd have water going through there, and I'd have measurement probes on my GHL, and they would measure all the bits and bobs. And then
there you go, Rob.
Tritons.
TMC pumps, Ron.
There you go. So have you got those, Rob?
Rather die.
Yeah, I've got them. Yeah.
Those pumps, those 3 pumps, I still got. Are they still running my? They're running my current tank, and that was 2008. I got those, so they are proper pumps.
Yeah.
What is this, Mo?
So this is the guy. Torsten built me a scape. I said, wrap these around your wall in your tank. So those are the 3 walls, and then he modified it a little bit and changed it, and there was all these photographs back and forwards.
So that's ceramic, is it?
That's all ceramic, hand built, and he put it into a kiln and then bake it, and then he shipped them over. And actually, he made me some for this tank as well. And then that was it. And there was a hole right in the very center of the middle. There's a hole there.
Yeah.
And that's where I could look through from the sump room into the tank. And then you see that little line on the left, sort of diagonally across.
Yeah.
On the top left picture. And so basically he had so they built me a stream pump, a propeller it had an Abyss body and a propeller on it, and that was what I used for flow in the whole tank.
Wow.
And it's like the Abyss streams now.
Like an early, I was going to say, like an early one.
Yeah. But this is 2008. I've still got this pump, and he basically patented the design of the propeller. But that used to run the circulation of my tank for the first 3-4 years, and then as corals got bigger and bigger and bigger, then obviously I needed more flow. So eventually I needed more. Eventually I drilled the ceramics and I had 8 MP60s, 4 on each side, and that big pump. And then these are basically branches and whatnot. There were different bits and bobs that he sent along, and then I sort of built. I put them up against the wall and just put a bit of adhesive in just to glue them to the glass walls. Excuse me. And
then you went to T5.
Yeah, and then I built some. This must have been a good 4 or 5 years later. So as your corals grow, my corals used to grow. Excuse me. They used to grow towards the halides. They literally used to go, and they were very, all my stags and stuff. They were very directional towards the halides. Even though I had so many, if they were in between 2 halides, they would just grow up. And hang on, I didn't really like it. And the theory then was, T5s, they'll colour your corals much better. there's always something. So I thought, oh yeah, let's have a go with T5. So I switched the lights about halfway through to T5s. That's the Paletta pink tip. First time I saw one, bottom right, in my tank, and then the top right was the they still come in now. I don't know what they're called, the Aussie. Can't remember. And then the Echinato on the left there.
Yeah, Echinato.
Yeah.
Sorry,
nice
am I bringing up too many fonder memories here?
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice. I remember that.
A lot of those were sort of wild Aussie corals.
Big F-flow, like the F-flow.
Yeah, yeah. See, the F-flows, you don't see them so much anymore. I had about 3 or 4 F-flows in there. Yeah, and that was my Solly. The one on the bottom left was a Solly, same sort of colour as an F-flow, but branching. So the ends were branching more. And I think they used to call it the $500 F-flow. That's the bottom right there. But it was actually solitary ensis. And then that was one at the bottom left when the first shortcakes were coming in. Top left, I don't know, something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was, and I can't remember whether that was the T5s. I think I was still Radiums then, and that was a wild Aussie piece that came in. So there were nice pieces back in the day as well. But back then there weren't really many restrictions. So some of the classics you just don't see anymore. Those big round F-flow plates. I don't know if you guys see them, but I look for them and I can't find them.
Look at that.
Yeah, that was my beautiful. That solitary ends at the top. I drove to Doncaster because somebody advertised it was completely brown, and I
Doncaster. That's like 5 minutes from me. That's next to me.
You missed out.
I drove up
there just for that coral, and it was just like a big rock with an encrusted solitary ensis on it. And he just said, "Oh, it's rubbish. It never grows. It's a crap coral, but it's big. You can have it." And I think I bought it for cheap, but I drove up. But it cost me more to drive up there to get it. But then it took.
Leicester's not far from Rotherham, Doncaster. Leicester's not that far at all.
But it took, and then there was a stonking coral, and it was about 2 foot across, and it was absolutely ridiculous. Lovely coral that was. And then there's the Echinato in the middle. Echinato, I don't know if guys have success with them, but they always used to these are all right for 9 months, and then the Echinato would fizzle out. So I always used to look for somebody who had an Echinato that grew out in the tank, because that's just the coral that's very difficult. That was my tricolour. That was probably the first one in the country. I think I got it at the same time as David Saxby got his first one, because the timelines when he was talking about getting his tricolour at the same time. In those days, nobody wanted them. TMC, they came from TMC, and there were about 4 or 5. And Matt at Southwest Marines would always just look after me, and he said, "Look, I got this fish. Nobody really likes it, but do you fancy it?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And nobody liked them. And to this day, I say to him, you bought me that tricolour for 95 quid. And he's like, no, it was more than that. I said, no, it was 95 quid. He said, no, it was 125. So I tricolour for 125 quid. And it was a proper one, it was a proper koi tank. And then they suddenly shot up in price. And then, that's just, tanks like going out, and they just get a bit more mature, and then they start running themselves, and corals are happier. You see that big Abro, that was an Aussie piece as well. And then when it started getting into it came in as 2 big branches, quite big, but eventually it just went crazy. And to get an Abro growing like that was, it's not common. And then you can see I had like another Solly there at the bottom right, and then one on the bottom left. And then there was a phase where I lost the F-flows actually. I had about 4 F-flows, really, really nice. And then I think I had an elk swing or something happened. And then the F-flows just, I lost those, but I really like those corals. And then, I used to, as things were growing out a lot, I used to sort of chop them and get rid of them, and then just, it's nice when you've got big corals, because you've got lots of spaces just to put other things in to let them grow through as well. And as some things grow, you chop those out and move. But at this stage, you see that one pump was never going to be enough for flow. So that's where I started. I bought the right angle drill bit and put a drill into the rocks and drilled the side rocks with this drill, and put MP60s along the side.
Bit nerve-wracking.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then eventually, funnily enough, the drill
the drill seized up, and I must have just got a bit of splash of salt water or something. But yeah, it was it had to be done because I could I needed to get the flow in there somehow. And it worked a treat. Then I had 8 MP60s, that big flow pump, and the 2 big Abyss returns on it, and they were 63mm pipe running right the way to the front, bouncing off the front glass. So it's a nice fish. I had a really nice Achilles in there. I had the koi tang. And the usual suspects really. You'll see the fish trap. I was trying to catch a copper band because he used to nip on my clams. There it is.
There it is.
I spent months and months trying to catch that copper band. He's just go around, just nip on my scullies, and let's just watch it nipping. And that's my koi tang. He used to change color every now and then. And I had a gem tang in there as well. That gem, people don't like gems, but it was my favorite fish. That was.
Yeah,
you don't appreciate the depth from the pictures. That's why I put that one in there. So you could kind of a little bit.
Yeah, because the corals get in the way. But it's when you saw it live, people just come and go, "Oh my god!" And they'll sort of put their head around the coral to have a look around the side. And they, it just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
One of those crappy black tangs here, Mo, is it?
What's that?
One of those crappy black tanks.
It's not. Robbie, it's the character. It's the character. So the black tang is on my list, on my shopping list for my current tank. So I did have a black tang in that. I had a black tang in that. It was a monster. But that's
us. That's us. That's a wrap.
The snouts are so big on black tangs. They're just clumsy feeders. But
yeah. I think that's why I don't like
black tang, Rob. You've got to get one.
I had a soundbite ready for the first time somebody said black tang. I was going to trigger this.
Abort mission.
What's it say? That say it again.
Abort mission. Abort mission.
That's me.
It is you, Tom. Yeah. Well done. Recognise his own voice.
My computer, from all that content, Mo, with your current and your future and the videos you've sent me, I have to upload them into StreamYard, almost like on a shelf, as it were, and then you take it from the shelf and present it. My computer has had. I'm surprised smoke hasn't come out the back of it while I've been playing that footage. It's just been horrendous. But anyway, mate, wow. I mean,
nice tank. So how long did you run that for, from sort of start to finish? That sort of 7-8 years?
No, a bit longer. So 2008 they built it. 2009 I started it. 2017 Christmas I dismantled it.
Oh wow! Oh, okay.
2018 I moved into this place.
Yeah.
So literally, I got Paul. Paul came in and then it basically smashed it. I videoed it as well. I videoed it smashing and everything.
Oh, just hammered it.
And then I was just hammered it, put it into skip. Because the people who bought the house didn't know what anything to do with it. So so I got Paul to come in, smashed it up, put it into the skip, and then that's when we knew how heavy the straps were, because he had to sort of angle grind them down, but with the 3-man lift really to pick them out and get them out. But yeah, so it ended up in the skip, and then anyway.
So didn't keep any of the corals or anything. You just
I went to the shop. Yeah, well, right. to be honest, I had a Destaco. You sort of saw a picture of the Destaco.
Calcium reactor.
Right. Yeah, right at the end. I started up with a twin chamber, and I had to upgrade it. Then I had to put the peri pumps on, and I ended up with two. The blue peri pump was, or whatever it was, a litre a minute or an hour or whatever, and then I had to double. Then you had the yellow one, which is like 4 times the size, and I ended up with two yellow ones, and then I had to put an extra chamber on it, and then I had to vent it 10 times a day, and so it completely maxed out by the time I was at the end. And then I hadn't decided to sell up or whatever, but just before I started getting alarms because it couldn't keep up, and I didn't realise, but it was in the middle of the night, just get a CO2 alarm, and the reactor would switch off, and my KH would crash. Get up next morning, sort it all out, come back from work, KH just crashed. And I kept doing that, and then I lost quite a bit, and then load of it into the shop and fish into the shop. So yeah, and
it
We've
all
got a
ends up in
question
the shop, really.
more from Mr.
Nice.
John Wright. He would like to know how did you feel when you won the lottery?
I'm still waiting to win. I just worked hard. That's what it was. Hard graft.
Yeah.
Have you seen any relevant questions, Ron, in the comments for Mo before we go on to part two?
They all gone to sleep.
Everybody's behaving. But no, literally for the next, we'll go 10 minutes before we fire the next video up. Has anybody got anything, or less? Has anybody got anything they want to ask Mo on that first build? Because it'd be really good if you could throw it in the comments. I mean, I want to ask, like, how sort of accommodating is your wife and your family and everything else? I mean, how does, because this isn't just bringing a fish tank into your house, getting the floor wet once and then filling it up again. This is a serious renovation. So I mean, go on. Sorry, over to you. How did that work with your family?
Give me a sec.
Oh, he's bringing up the divorce.
I've clearly, if your wife doesn't, if she's not understanding, your family's not supportive, you can't do things like this. So
no.
So credit to my wife, I have to say. Totally, you know what I mean? I mean, you all know you can't do things like this if you haven't got an agreement. Not to say that she'll come and do my water changes.
Is this your second wife, sorry, or your fourth wife that since you've been married?
No, that's my first wife, first and one and only. So and the kids are supportive. You know, they grew up. Well, I basically built that tank around the time my daughter was born. So that first tank. And then my son was about 4 or 5 at the time, and they've grown up with fish tanks and whatnot. But they kind of just let me get on with it, and then they get a bit worried if something's not right. You know, if they're living with a fish tank, they know what the pattern is, what what it does at 10 o'clock at night, what it does at 12, and what the lights are like. And if something's not right, they know, so they automatically know. Dad, something's not right, or my wife will tell me, is that right, or is this? So that's really nice and useful to have.
Have you got any photos of the build when you were digging the hole where you buried your wife before you put the...
that round 3
solves that problem.
Well, it'd probably be me there instead, but
yeah.
Well, like Koj says, I have to say, an evening, Koj, if your partner is not supportive, they have to go. In the foundations, by the sound of it, who knows?
Yeah. I'm now supportive in the slab.
Wow.
Telling the story there, Rob.
Thank you.
So, how long did it take altogether from the minute somebody put a shovel in the ground to you sitting back and saying, I'm happy with that? What sort of time frame? It's obviously years, but what we're talking?
Well, happy with it in terms of what
you've got fish in it, you've got corals in it, corals grow. Yeah, the whole.
Like I said, it's probably till from the point where we thought let's build something. It took us 6 months to get the plans. My brother's a builder, so he's got a lot of contacts, and he had the right person, the right architect. He told me, you can do this, you can't do this, you'll get away with this. And so we did the plans, and then certain things I wanted, and he said it's not going to happen. And so luckily, he said do this, and you'll get it passed first time. Why mess around and go backwards and forwards of planning permission? So all of those things, and it just took a few months to get the neighbours on board, because we were building on the boundary. My neighbours were lawyers at the time. All those things. We decided we'd pave their pathway on the other side of my extension, so we did that as part of the build, and they were really agreeable then. So you get them on side, and they were great when we were building it as well. So all of those things, it worked out really, really well. And then I think we, from first chat to first digging the foundations, probably about 5 months, and then the build probably 7 months, something like that. So but then when they built the tank in the middle of us building the extension. So it was a year from the glass to getting it wet. So overall, probably first sat down.
Silicon's cured. You waited a year.
Yeah, certainly was. Yeah. So
Sure.
probably dried out. Actually, worried that it's going to separate. But yeah, it was a good 14 months. I haven't sat down and counted, but probably a good 14 months before do you think we should build an extension to? I've got fish in my tank. It's about that time, and then up and down for the first 9 months with ceramics, getting them live, but put sand in, take the sand out eventually because it's getting dirty, getting it stabilized, nutrient swings, and then I was messing around with the biopellets for a good 6 months. All of that for the first year was up and down with that tank. I had a load of people tell me to give up. When I first started, I shouldn't say who it is, but on the forums, I just said,
It's a
6 foot by 8 foot tank. And the guy just was as nasty as they come. They said, pay somebody to do it. You're foolish. You're an idiot. You're never going to get it done. And he was really abusive.
Wow.
It's not none of the. I haven't come across him, to be fair, since then. But absolutely horrible. The worst thing you could do to somebody, and he did it. And then I got so upset, and then I started another thread, and then I went back. I thought, once I started getting successful, I thought, right, let me nail this guy. And I went back, and he deleted all his posts to make it look like he was as sweet as they could be.
Mo, I must say, just to put it into perspective, you are the first reefer on Ultimate Reef to get 1 million 1 million views.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like wow.
Yeah,
that's the reefing Oscars, as it were.
Yeah. Well, I think in those days we didn't have YouTube, all the social media stuff, and we used to communicate on the forums. And if you had a forum where you get chatting, talking about things that you're trying to do. Zeovit was a big thing. Biopellets were new. Metal halides, radium's good. You want a 10K, you want a 20K look. T5s, are they the best thing? We used to chat about all those things. So people used to just coming in and out of the thread, and we were talking about all sorts. So they would join in and have a chat, and that's why it got so many views, because it was there was good conversation on it. And obviously I was doing crazy things, and people were thinking, "What an idiot! What's he doing?" But there's a method to the madness, and eventually, when it started working and coral started growing, and people think, "Whoa!" That abro that you saw in the pictures, that was about 2.5 foot across, 3 foot across. That's it looks like a little stag, but it was that, and it's an abro, and it weighed like crazy amounts. So. Those things weren't. They're just not normal. So So and then you saw some of the corals growing out, and that solly was 2.5 foot across with bright blue tips. It was amazing. And I had
we're ready for more in a minute. We're ready for more in a minute. Sorry, we're ready for more because we're ready for round 2. Just one quick question I am going to ask you that is from the audience. I have asked the audience to ask anything they want. So Wakefield Reef Timothy is asking: did you have to coat any of the RSJs to stop them from rusting?
No, you can see they were rusted. So they were rusted when we got them. So the question was, there's such thick steel, and there's so many of them. Yeah. And actually, salt water is not going to drop on them because there's plywood sheet and polystyrene on there. So even the platform on the side, the plywood went right up to the side of the walls, and I could walk around. So no, they weren't really exposed apart from just the atmosphere. They weren't gonna. At the back end of it, I did put hammerite coat on it, but no, not really. Okay. This time I got galvanized ones.
Right, wait. We're nearly there. Wait. Slow down before you're running. Yeah. Right, here we go. Round 2. So, we're digging again.
That's a different house, no?
This is a different house, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's my new house, right? So, I've moved house. I worked hard for the few years. So, that's the back end of the house. So, my brother's idea, my builder brother. So I was thinking about building an extension at the front of the house, and he said, "Oh no, you want to build it at the back." And it goes 3 stories at the back. There's 2 stories at the front. So this was his idea again, and so we built a steel structure because there's a lot of glazing we were going to put in. So we're going to glaze the back end of it, bedroom upstairs, living room in the middle, and then my room, which is what you can see behind me. that's the entrance from the old house into the new house. It was 8 meters by 5 meters, and I split it into two. So originally I was going to put my study in the room behind me, and then again have, you know, like I did first time with the face of the tank, and then put the tank in the back. But then for the last minute decision, I thought I'll just stick it in the front and have a big sump room at the back, and then I've got a 5 by 5 frag tank in there as well, in the middle of the sump room. So yeah, so steel frame went up, slab on the bottom. We built some bricks up from the foundation from the slab to put the tank on. It's just, yeah, we got stonework to match the rest of the house at the front.
Wow.
And then yeah, that's so that's the room now. So which way are we looking? Yeah, so we're looking. Those are the old windows on the far left, in the middle picture. That's where my doors are now, going into my tank room.
Right.
Yeah, and then that's the picture on the right, and the picture on the left, that's looking into my sump room. And that's the window in my sump room.
Most people would say you were mad to do it once, but to do it twice.
Wow.
Yeah,
man
bigger.
of experience second time.
It must be the same builder,
actually
because it's the same mug. It's the same Sports Direct mug throughout all the pictures.
Yeah, that'll be the one. Yeah. So that's Paul for you. Yeah. So we called Paul to help us out, and then he built this up from the foundations. That's and then we put the same thing. You know, work first time we put RSJs. There's Paul. That's the wall on the tank room. So I put plywood in there in case I wanted to stick a TV or something on that wall. And then on the left-hand picture, that's the cutout for the back of the tank.
Ah, right, okay, yeah.
And in the middle, that's the other side of it in the middle there. And so that's where the back face of the tank sits. Yeah, and then obviously we put block and beam on the floors because I didn't want to hear creaky floorboards. So yeah, and then he sort of blocked it all in. All the wiring, we've got cable, we networked it a little bit as well, so I can get some Wi-Fi and stuff. Again, same with the sockets and stuff, loads of sockets. I did multiple terminals. This time we had to put a boiler in there, so I had no choice but to put it in the sump room. So that's looking into the sump room there, and then that's the hole for the back of the tank on the right.
How big is that room, just roughly? That sump room?
And that. Say again.
How big is that sump room, roughly? Meters, what square?
5 meters by 4. 5 meters by 4
terraced
meters.
house.
Yeah. My lounge. It's my lounge.
That's the whole size of my house, basically.
They're both rooms. It was basically the bottom room was split into two. One for the tank, 5 meters by 4 meters, and then the sump room 5 meters by 4 meters.
Wow.
So we tiled it this time. Last time I put vinyl down. This time we tiled it.
I got a floor drain. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, so there you go. I put a floor drain in, put some pipes through. That's where on the left-hand picture I was going to put the sump tank, the frag tank, sorry. And then the sump's going to go.
Even your stills look posh in this one. You've upgraded.
Yeah, he's upgraded.
Yeah, so I actually went back. I went back to the thread, looked at the same. Actually, it had the sizes printed on one of the RSJs in my old tank thread, and so we got the same size and just this time galvanized it. But this I was told to avoid galvanizing, but because we weren't going to have a sump underneath, I decided to do that. Martin Lakin said he'd just be careful because I think he had some problems with his.
Right.
But because I wasn't going to put the sump underneath it, I just went galvanized and I just sort of just protect it a little bit. Yeah. And it, you know, silver color is better than rusty color.
True.
But the platform's the same size as the last one, so it's 8x8. But this time the tank fills a whole lot.
Wow.
So that's why this time I put the tank.
I've got to ask though, you're not tempted to go bigger?
It's about as big as I can manage, I think. So
that's a big room.
Yeah, it is, and it's just walk around space, and yeah. So that's so MBM built the
right.
Yeah, I commissioned somebody up in Liverpool who you'll see it on one of my threads who ripped me off. Basically, was very, very keen. Take my deposit, do this, do that, do the other. Paid the deposit, reasonable price. They came down to see the room and everything. Yeah, great. Let's get the deposit in. Got deposit in. They went bankrupt.
Wow.
Shut the company down. I lost my money. I think he was a well-known guy as well, but it was I had two minds, and I was thinking I'm just not going to do it now. So it was a fair bit of deposit, to be honest.
Yeah,
But so I sat back for a couple of months thinking whether I should do it or not, and then I found Mick, Mick was great. So really, really pleased with what he built me. You'll see it's a proper solid tank. This time I decided not to do steel, and we went just glass. And then I thought it's nice to have a brace on top so you can rest rubbish on it. So and so we did a double glass base, double glass brace, 19 mil. A double base, I think it's 15 mil double base on the bottom. Again, he said it was overkill, but we did it. And then 19 mil around the sides. And this time again, that was overkill because this time it's 26 inches tall. So this time I was going 8 foot by 8 foot instead of 8 by 6. And previously I could stand up on the side and reach over to 3 foot, but this time because it was that extra 2 foot in the middle, and I wanted to be able to reach in from the sides and the back I wasn't going to have access to, I lowered it. And also SPS. With SPS, I was finding SPS on the bottom of my old tank, even though there were metal halos and whatnot. They weren't quite as, I couldn't just slam corals anywhere I wanted. And this time I just thought, well, SPS, I'll put them anywhere I want, should be okay. So I went 2 foot, and it's manageable over the top, and I can reach in with the tongs to most aspects of the tank. One thing so that's it being built. Mick did it himself, and my brother helped him. So I reckon my brother.
Sorry, Mo, but this is 9 pieces of glass, on the base, isn't it? Times 2, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This is some.
They were going to be 4. They were going to be 4, but in the
you're basically tiling the bottom of your tank, aren't you?
Say again?
I said you're basically tiling the base of your tank, aren't you? Twice.
Yeah.
I've never seen this technique. I've seen the plywood bases, but I've never seen this.
Yeah.
What glass panels on the bottom?
Not tiled like that, no.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Nope.
What do you put on the bottom?
Then you put strengthening bars on top of it. Anyway, we'll get to that.
So this time it's I think it's sat straight on the plywood this time.
Yeah, can I say it looks like there's nothing under the glass but ply.
Yeah. I can't remember.
There must be.
I think we bought.
There's white.
We did buy the polystyrene.
Yeah, polystyrene.
No, that's white vinyl.
Oh, is it white vinyl? Sorry. To reflect the light. Right, clever.
Yeah, so I told Mick I was going to go bare bottom, and he said, "Oh, I'll sort you out some white vinyl then."
Excellent.
So no, in the end, we did buy the polystyrene. We didn't put it down. We went straight onto the plywood. Okay. And I was just remembering the old conversation with Sam, who said, "No, we just go straight on the plywood." And Mick said the same thing. So that's what we did. And then on my old tank, they put spots of silicone in between the panes, sort of glued them together. This time Mick left air gaps in between, and so that gives enough space for him to put the vinyl in between. So it's in between the panes. But he was top guy. He did put a lot of work into doing it, making it nice. He must have come. Again, he came up from Doncaster. Must have made 7-8 trips to do it in bits, and that's long days. So he's a good lad. He did a really good job for me.
So that's 3 beads of silicone on that. Then I'm seeing it.
More than that. That was the brace bar, and he completely covered it. And then they got the special tool and
I've got that.
Flat.
I've got that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Get to that.
Yeah. So that's what he did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of silicone.
He used a lot. I mean, he didn't cut any corners with this.
It's all right. Mo's paying.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So those are the straps going down, and he did a nice job. I kept telling him. He kept getting paranoid. It's all right. You're happy. So you don't smile very much. So I'll smile when it's done.
Wow.
So yeah, so you know, it's all over engineered, but that gives you peace of mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does. Of course it does. Wow.
So yeah, see all the straps in, and then straps over the silicone beads as well. Yeah, with hindsight, 4 pieces would have been nice because you know, now with my rock islands they sort of foul on top of the straps, and if I had 4 pieces, they would have been falling in between, so it would have been nice. But hey ho,
You can do that in the next house, Mo.
Yeah.
That news. We need to have a new show. Where's Mo moving next?
That's it,
Yeah, dear. Yeah, that silicone work looks quite nice. To be fair, it's nice and tidy, isn't it? Very good.
Yeah. He's good with the silicone work. Well, good job as well, I suppose, if he's a tank builder. There's my brother on the right.
Right.
He built my extension last time, so he was there doing my slab last time. So he helped out a lot.
Yeah, he's been a huge part of this, hasn't he?
He has.
Yeah.
Good lad.
He knows his stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Lots of silicone.
Yeah, I think Imran's on the. He might be on the YouTube live. He was earlier on. So that's his dad. Actually, he's got a nice tank, 6-foot tank. The joke was always that I'd set up this massive tank, and then Imran set up a small tank, and his tank was always nicer than mine. And he's got a nice tank now as well. So this is a running joke that they never tell me.
Right.
Wow. So how long did you have to wait for it to go off then, Mo? How long was the silicone?
They tell you.
For?
Well, funnily enough, I was overseas when this was built.
Okay.
But they usually say a millimeter a day. So you know, it's 19 mil seam, so you want to leave it, you know, 19 days. Or
now
so.
this is clever.
3
Sorry, this is 3 weeks. This is clever. So I saw this when I got the video. So that is all silicone, and then it's scraped back. Is that right? Yeah, to create like a flat surface. Yeah.
So it's clean, because the problem is, you see, if you have it beaded up like that and then you plonk that down, you'll get
got all the air gaps.
Yeah. And so I mean, I don't think you can eliminate 100% of them, but he did a pretty good job of getting rid of the air gaps, because you know, you end up with a shiny bubble in the middle of your brace. But I mean, it's vinyl topped, but the majority of it is, you know, bang on. I know.
It looks nice finish. That I like it.
Yeah. And they went round, they cleaned it all off, and you know, it's I mean, I looked at. I mean, couldn't fault anything. You know, really good job. That's why I keep banging on about how good Mick is, and you know, if you want a decent project, it's get Mick to sort it out, because he's a decent guy, and it's like a, you know, almost a personal service really. So you're not going to get fobbed off. So yeah, I mean, you can see it. It's brilliant. So yeah, all the straps here.
Look at that! Wow.
Yeah, nice finish.
Now I only got this one photo, but you must have took dozens of this photo before you went any further, because you must have. I mean, I'm not speaking for experience. Well, I suppose I am, but how many times did you come down in the morning with a cup of coffee and just look at your tank, dressing gown, slippers, whatever? You must have done.
Yeah, look at this. Oh, I didn't see. So here's the thing. So I decided to drill the rocks.
On top of
the rocks,
on top of the tank,
on top of the glass.
Yeah.
Just because reach
over.
Yeah,
I know, sensible.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, but I checked the length of the drill bit, and it was you know, although it looks like it sat right on the glass, it wouldn't be able to foul it, in theory. So I went around and drilled. So basically, so what I do is I've got acrylic rods, 5mm, 6mm rods. So I made 6mm holes all over the plates and all over the rocks. And so part of the theory was that if later on I can't access the middle center of the tank, whatever, I can just glue these rods onto the corals, and then just hook it. I can move them around, and it works a treat. So, okay. So so these are the ceramic bits, and if you want to make branches and stuff, this is the glue technique. And they gave me some sort of powder. I don't know what it was, maybe cement or whatever. Really gets up your nose if you got to wear a mask, really.
Legal, I hope.
The only thing
I'm saying that.
We're all thanks.
Oh yeah, not the stuff that Rob uses. I
told you not to say that, Mark.
So there's Rob's stash in that box. So there's a trend now to use liquid glue and sand, but be careful because eventually the glue, after 6 months, the glue falls to bits inside your water, and so when you do it, if you're doing your whole reefscape with just liquid glue and sand, there's a chance that the bits will just fall off. So if there's anything that's if you got it wedged in, you're okay, but if there's anything just sort of hanging, and the nicer your bits, the more likely it is just to be hanging in thin air. Use a bit of Epo putty or something just to strengthen it, because Epo putty gets really strong, or even, I don't know, some of the cements that you can reef bond or whatever. It's worth just bolstering it with that. But at the time, you can lift up 20 kilos off the edge of this liquid glue bond that you've made, but eventually it's kind of in the water. After a while, it may be the UV, but whatever it is, it kind of degrades a little bit. So here's the other. I had a bright idea. So the worldwide corals always talk about starboard. You're going to get starboard on the base. You do your bare bottom, get a starboard on it. So I'm going to get some starboard. So I've got this starboard, and then so I made my rocks already, and I just thought, let's try the black look. So I bought this black stuff, put it down, and I don't know if you caught it, Tom. Well, there's one picture that gives it away. I'll see if you get the picture. So this took me like 2 days. So to shift the rocks.
I wondered why you were moving stuff about. I didn't know. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So do that, height as and I couldn't get brace bars then.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't get the board at the correct length, so I had to get them in two sizes to fill each of the 6 spaces. So I had 2 pieces on each of the 6 spaces. So anyway, eventually I moved the rocks around and got them all in and out. It took me a couple of days to do it. It was really a pain in the ass because the boards weren't cut quite square. Well, maybe they were square, but they were 2 mil too wide or something. So I had to sort of shave them down, and it was a bit of a hassle to get it all. Eventually got it all in. Great. Okay, that looks a treat. I like that. So I got this black bottom that Worldwide Corals had, and I'll tell you the rest about what happened because they're not there anymore. It's my sump. So Rob, I had a chat with the new guys that looked over. Yeah, it's very similar to Rob's actually. So
just 10 times bigger.
Germany.
It is.
Yeah, this is 3 meters long. I think this one. Well, how long's yours? So they basically updated the
title.
This gap here. Mine's bigger than yours, Rob. So this gap here is a refugium. They've got a refugium, so they added a refugium to their sumps, and this was one of the first ones off off their assembly line with the sump built into it. The refugium built into it, and then I bought a new internal skimmer. So this time, so cheeky guys. I mean, I bought a 500 internal skimmer, but it was the 400 body, and they just said, "Oh, we've downsized the 500 skimmer." They charge you the same money, but they just put a 400 skimmer, and they got these new DC pumps on it. So I got it running with the DC pumps, and they were all right. But one of the DC pumps sort of didn't fail, but it needed a clean. And so I got my old Bubble King 500. I took the old AC pump off it and strapped it onto this whilst I was cleaning the DC pump, and the old pump just outperformed the DC pump like crazy. And I just thought, I've skimming with the old pump.
Yeah, I have.
Well, in the end, I bought a couple of spare Abyss pumps. And I had them, they're just second-hand ones, but I bought them just
as you do, Facebook,
as you do.
50 quid.
Well, they don't come up very, very often, but anyway. But if anyway, I've got 2 pumps, and so that's the DC pump you see in the middle there. So now I've got 2 Abyss pumps on I upgraded the pumps on my skimmer, and that skimmer is just the most amazing thing you could ever hope for. So I've got 2 Abyss pumps 400s on my Bubble King 500, and then I've got 3 Abyss returns, and that's all my pumps. But that skimmer's a beast. So because the skimmer's a beast, I don't need my filter roller, because if I ran the skimmer and the filter roller, it stripped my tank. Do that for a month, my corals start sort of withering. So I've taken the filter roller off, and I can control now it's a proper DC skimmer. It's just amazing, that skimmer. I can fine tune it for if I want a day's worth of skimmer, fill the whole head up, or if I want to do it for a week, I can just turn it down, and actually really fine tune it. So that's worked really, really well. But it just means I don't now have my filter roller, and my filter roller is not like Rob's. Rob's would run it for the whole lot, and you'd be fine, just change it over. Mine would run halfway through and it would overflow because it wouldn't rotate. And I don't know why I used to do that, but every so often come on and it's flooded it's flooding, overflowing because the motor hasn't turned the fleece.
It wouldn't advance.
It wouldn't advance, and that really, really was. So I was sort of going between running it and not running it, and in the end, when I upgraded the pumps on the Abyss, on the Bubble King, I just took it off, and now all I've got really, I don't need such a fancy sump, because all I've got is the return and the skimmer. That's all that's my preparation. I've actually put well, I put Cyprax in there just after the fleece. I had Cyprax in my old tank as well, a load of it, so I quite like Cyprax. So I run Cyprax and the skimmer, and then that's it. I was just sort of got the guys to come around and help me, but it's quite heavy. That sump. But we got it in place. About 6 of us, I think, in the end, carried it in, put it in, and then that's me starting to plumb it then. So this time I bought an electric saw, you can see there. And that
chop saw.
That chop saw I didn't have one first time. I did it all manually, my first tank, and that's why it took so long. And this time it took me a few weeks to chop all the pieces. I got a TMC 6 tube on the wall. And then I bought another electro. This time it's updated now, so I got a pool heater. That's the 3 kilowatt on the wall.
What do you think of those heaters? Do you like them?
Mate, I had a electro on my last tank. It was on the wall, 3 kilowatt titanium. It did not miss a beat for all those years. Did not miss a beat, and so that's why I thought I'll do it this time. And this one hasn't missed a beat either.
I've got one, Rob.
And this one's got Wi-Fi.
Have a conversation with me.
Have you?
I have.
Yeah, I looked. I was too paranoid.
In my mum's cupboard.
3 kilowatts. I thought if it goes wrong and sticks on, it's going to bowl your tank.
That was my worry, which is why I never used it.
All those years with this, it never did. So now, to be honest, now I've got my lights running. Your theory of LEDs run cooler and all that is nonsense. I think the heat in my
warm, aren't they?
It almost made me think, I wish I put my Giesmans back up. But LEDs, I think LEDs work really nicely personally. I don't know why you get certain colours out of corals that you didn't used to get for whatever reason. I think the LEDs do it, but the heat's much the same. So my tank runs quite hot. Now I don't really need the heater.
I was going to say the heater rarely comes on.
What's it run at, though? What you run at?
So say again.
What's your temperature? You're saying hot?
Temperature, 27. Well, here's the thing. There's 1 degree difference. My sump's enclosed. There's a 1 degree difference between my sump and my tank. So my tank runs 1 degree lower than my sump reading. So I run my sump at 27 on my Apex. And that's similar to the Electro. They're roughly about 27, and it might drop down to 26 at night. Well, I get about a 1 degree, just over a degree of shift between day and night. And then, but now because I've got the glass doors, I can lock them open. And so currently, what I do, because it's quite cold outside, is I lock them open during the day, and I don't need to run my aircon. I've got aircons in there. I don't need to run. I'll not run them. One thing I do have though is a dehumidifier, because obviously now it being on display, you get a lot of humidity. So and it's a swimming pool dehumidifier, but it does run hot, so it heats the room
Yeah,
as
but
well.
you will
which is
soon
nice
see in a
at
minute.
night.
Sorry, Mo. People will soon see
Yeah.
in a bit that you have got a swimming pool in your house, not a tank. It is enormous. The pictures don't do it justice. Sorry. So this plumbing that you were doing, then how long did this take you to do? Because this is quality plumbing.
I did it. I think I did it. I had a few weeks off, couple of weeks. So probably just took me a couple. Last time it took me like 9 months, 6 months to do the plumbing my old tank. And this one, there's more plumbing on this, and this took just a few weeks to be honest. And then they're quite long runs. This was the tricky bit, is lining these all up. And I did have a theory I might get the flexible pipe, and I bought a run of flexi pipe, and I thought I might flex it over, and I thought it's not going to look as neat. So in the end, I didn't use it, and then I just lined it up, and it was a bit heavy going to line them up properly. And it kind of worked all right, but there's quite crowded space there on those sumps, as you'll know, Rob. So
they do pack them in quite close, don't they?
Yeah. So I had to sort of run extensions and things, and it took me. I think I sat there looking at about a day, working out what's going to go where and how I'm going to connect them up, and that was probably the trickiest bit. I hadn't really planned that bit. I just left that to the end. And then the other thing is I wanted the weir box to come out a bit further. It's about 10 mils too short. Excuse me, guys. So I had to run those 45s into one to rotate the pipe outwards a bit to get the extra length on it. All right, and that was a nuisance to do. So I had to whack the 45s on, and that was otherwise I would have just put an elbow on it, and so that I had to sort of measure and remeasure to get it all to line up. But I think I did a good job in the end. And then these tank connectors, the ones that Mick left me didn't fit the holes. So then Mick had to go out and get me another set. So he got me another set, and then this is just lining up. So the usual thing. So I put the pipes in, glued them in on top of the abyss, and then I put a flexi pipe in between them, lined them all up, and I put three pumps in, two there. So one of the abyss pumps will feed my frag tank, which is like a QT stroke frag. It's not really a frag tank yet. So I put my fish in there first. So two of them, one of them goes and runs the main tank on the right hand side, and then one of them runs the left hand side and the frag tank. And then the one here that I'm plumbing in does my heater and UV circuit. In theory, I could have teed them off and just ran 2 pumps, but I kind of want to run them at 50%. So I run the equipment one at like 35% and run the other two at about 50%. And so they're not chugging away too much. And they work a treat. The abyss pumps, you don't touch them, just leave them.
No,
they're so solidly built. I mean, they are a lot of money, but they're just the next level of engineering. You just don't touch them.
Look at
that.
Look at that. That's
yeah. I was looking at that. I was like, I've got 20 radions over the tank, and I've always been, you can never have enough light. You can start off with too much light, but when your tank goes into full throttle, you can never have enough light. And so,
sorry to interject. Can I just stop you there? Somebody's told me that you have upgraded. Is this correct?
Upgraded what?
Your lights from Radions.
No. I've got.
You still with Radions?
You can see it behind me.
I got told that you were contemplating the Strattons.
Oh no! Who told you that then?
Oh, I can't say. I'll be
let me
calling
tell
them
you
out
something.
live.
These were supposed to be Strattons. I spoke to ATI. There's originally ATI, and I was supposed to get Strattons well before any of this, and then the last minute, Oliver just said to me, "Oh, you've got some difficulty getting them over to you. So have you got family over in Germany?" I'm like, "Not really." Oh, well, it's going to be difficult to supply you. This was 2 years ago when I set the tank up.
Right, okay.
So this is the original Stratton Pros. I was in talk before they got released. They were going to prototype them on. I think Tom's a coral dealer in Germany and mine.
Germany.
We were going to be,
yeah,
I
he's
think,
one of the
almost
settings
one
on
of
the ATIs.
yeah.
He's got one of the settings on the strands. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he has.
Yeah, there you go. So Oliver was talking to him, and then he was talking to me and saying, "Look, we'll try and get them over your tank." Because I had the ATI T5s and hybrids and stuff on my old tank. So, I knew Oliver and stuff, and we were talking about it, but it didn't quite work out in the end. And Jez has always been a good boy, and Steve, and so just got talking to them, and in the end, I thought we were Radions. The other thing, I was talking to some of the guys about the X4s. Do you know the Illumagics?
Yes.
You heard about those?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty decent lights. They're decent lights. So there was talk about that as well. But in the end, Radion's a good shout, isn't it? So, and previously I hadn't used LEDs on my tanks before, because when I shut down, I had T5s, and before that I had the radiums on there, and I never had any problems with it. Any of those lights, it was just like, oh, do you want to try these? Do you want to try these? Or we've got a bit of LED, and do you want to try that? So it's always just try it for the sake of it. But I'm quite happy with Radions, and it takes a while to tune the tank, and big tank goes through the nutrient once it's deprived, and it cycles, and then the nutrients go up, and then eventually corals start growing. But first, there's a bit of a struggle with such a big tank, and then you've got to adjust the light to the nutrient level, and you've got to and then if you set and forget with your radiums, that's one thing, but you can't really do that with LEDs. So it's just going through all of those motions just takes a while, So it's more difficult than it looks. I mean, you guys have got big tanks, so you'll know as well. But
I feel like I've got a nano right now, not the one behind me. I mean, the one downstairs, looking at this. And I thought that the other night when I was.
Say that again, Tom. You feel like you've got a nano down there.
A nano tank down there. I know I've got a nano there. This is a nano down there.
Oh dear.
Ron doesn't miss a beat, does he? Doesn't miss a beat.
I am so sorry.
He's just full of innuendos, Mo.
No, I am capable of being an adult. I am so sorry.
That's a bit of pump porn on there.
Yeah, there we go. That's what Matt says. Do you guys know Matt, Southwest Marines? Did we come across Matt?
No, that's the Bristol shop.
That's the Bristol shop. Yeah, you want to go down there sometime?
I'll still. Yeah, I mean, it's on my list. It's on my list to go to.
Yeah. So Tom, so I know Matt very, very well, and then he supplied me with with that pump, and he's had a name for it as well, which I won't. So it's a bit.
Was that the Abyss one or the?
The Abyss,
one?
Yeah. Well, I got them. Probably got them second hand, I think. So I had two Panther. I had them for a while. Well, basically, I got them when I hadn't even started the tank, but I thought, oh, Panther, I'll get those. And I was going to buy new ones, and then in the end, I just got the dirt cheap they were, and I missed another one. It was on eBay, I think. Anyway, and then the one that you got, Rob, you got a 42, didn't you, Panther off eBay?
Yeah, I got a pair.
Did you? Yeah, you beat me to it. You beat me to it.
Ultimate Reef.
Is it Ultimate Reef? I knew somewhere, and I was like, "Oh, damn, Rob said it." But I saw those
20
as well.
seconds.
So, yeah,
Bosh.
Yeah, literally. So Panther Race, okay, but one of the propellers was broken, and it looked a bit plasticky to me. And then anyway, I got the Abyss, and I know Alex and the guys there, and so we got talking, and he said, you want to try this? You've tried my pumps before, you know what they're like, and this is the same build quality. And I just thought, no, if it was a tank this size, you stick a pump in and never touch it again. There's a lot to be said for that. Yeah. So I tried it, and actually the build quality is just amazing. You can't fault his build quality. I just got to say it. So when I got that, I just thought, and up against the Panther, I just thought, Panther looks like it's 3D printed compared to this thing. I bought another one. So I got two of them. And to be honest, it's too much flow. The problem, so you got to balance the flow. So
because I don't think you need both of them, do you? Really, Mo?
No. Well, one needs to go into your tank.
One of them.
It needs to go in your tank. Well, here's the thing. So when I was initially setting it up and looking at the flow, and it looked like I've got enough flow. It's fine. Problem is, when I start putting corals in, the flow down the center as it returns back through is it's constant. Even though I put it on random flow, it's just too much for them to handle. And so what you want to do is reduce it down so that you've got a constant but random flow from each of those abyss pumps, but you want random flow going across it the other way. And so in the end, I ended up, I don't know if you'll see it, but I ended up putting some stream pumps going across and putting the oscillators on.
So you're disrupting that flow.
Yeah, and everything's then on a random setting. And I've dropped they run from 10 to about 35% each one. And the flow is just amazing. It's just, even my old tank didn't compare to the flow I've got now. This flow is just amazing. So that's my flow done. Yeah.
How many pumps you got in total then?
So I've got the two abyss pumps.
Just slow down because we're going to get to some more of that in a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I'll just pause this picture, Mo. Sorry, because for most hobbyists that hang a light, it can be one of the most crucial sort of things that they do in terms of getting it aligned correctly. And you had to line up, am I correct? 3 RMS rails, is that right? Or is it more than 3? 5 RMS rails. Okay, so you can see that you've made the markings there on the ceiling. I'll carry on. Sorry, letting the slides go through as we talk. So I'm assuming
his brother did it.
Well, I was about to say,
I did it.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think if my brother did it, he wouldn't mark it. So the one thing you don't see there, and I probably cheekily didn't show it to you, I had a laser level to line it up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
so I put a laser across it. But the problem is, you laser across one way, but you have to match it laser in the other way as well. So I couldn't put a grid laser over it because it wouldn't match up. So there was a little bit of we'll hope it lines up. More or less it did. But also, you've got to calculate where your radions are going to go compared to the glass, compared to the center.
The size of that tank is unreal. You just don't realize. I need to come and see it because that's just mad.
It is crazy, but it's nice and shallow, so it's nice. So we set, the other things that how tall do you set it up? So we set it up so we can basically put your chin over the top on the brace and look over the top. But actually, because there's so much flow, you don't really see much. And I don't really want to turn the flow off because it drains it down into the sump and all the rest of it. So I tend not to drop it. But you can get top-down view over it and look down onto it, which is nice. And then you have to sort of arch down a little bit to look through the front. And we'll get some seats in there when I've finished it all. And so you can sit down and just look into the tank at a nice level. But yeah, 8 foot by 8 foot, and then the central row of that is, you've got to do it so that you're not really going to touch it again. And you hope the LEDs will last, because that would be a proper nightmare to get in there but excuse me, I can put get one of those platforms over the top to adjust the I left the metal strings really long so that I can adjust it with two people. Or take it down if necessary. But I fed the cables through the wall, and then I've got the power supplies on the other side this time. Only because it's 8 foot across is difficult to. Last time I could reach over with my ballasts and adjust them, but the 8 foot across is, from that point of view, is a bit awkward. But I can reach in with the tongs. I now moved the abyss, so I've got the abyss down on the sides.
Look at that. Sorry, Mo. Just.
Could
you get any more radions on there if you try?
Nah, see, that's what I do. When I went before, do you remember I was saying I got 9 400-watt halides over my last tank, and my corals were growing towards the halides. So even then they were deprived of light, as it were. So I always just thought blanket of LEDs and adjust them as necessary. And Stratton's would have been nice looking back, because the build quality on those Strattons is really good. I mean, you've got one behind you, haven't you? So
they are awesome, but I haven't got 20 of them. Well, Rob's about to buy 20 of them because he's going to try and have a better tank than you. Tank off.
Yeah. So I was thinking, I wonder if Rob goes in for. He likes his gadgets now. I wonder if he goes in for getting the Strattons.
He does.
Yeah.
Well, his missus on about knocking the house down at the minute and rebuilding it, aren't you, Rob? So who knows?
At 9 by 9, Rob, is it?
You know what I mean? I think I'll just go 13 foot square.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get your swimsuit on, and
that's it. Yeah, just have a dinghy
with an elevator in the middle, so you can just keep coming up and down. Oh dear! Wow, This is you getting it wet then, is that right? So water's going in, water's in.
That's it.
Hey,
that's it.
Water.
So you see the black base. Nice.
Yes.
I was actually quite pleased with it. Actually, the contrast on it, and it looked really good. And so I was like, oh yeah, good job. I saw those worldwide coral videos, and they're going on about this starboard, so we're brilliant. So got the water in there, and there's one shot. I'm not sure if you'll get the shot.
I think it's a picture that I didn't like the look of that you're on about, and I think I know why.
Yeah, maybe
I've skipped it, so I don't think
it maybe
it's
didn't cut. It might not have come up so clearly when I.
It didn't. It was very distorted, which is why I missed it. Is that the one you're referring to?
That's the one that gives it. That's the only one I could. No, it's this one. Look at the bottom left there.
Oh, it's floated up.
Bottom left.
Oh right, it's lifted up. Yeah, so it's lifted up. Yeah.
That's the problem with starboard.
So I did this starboard, filled it up, came back the next day, and all the boards were up, floating up, and the rocks were just my whole scope is off to the side. Yeah, and they just floated up.
So that could have caused damage.
So what was one of my corals on about? Put a starboard down and do this. So I don't know whether they silicone it down or whether I got the wrong stuff.
I think they stuck
in the end, I was like, oh no, I can't be doing with this now. So this was just a rinse fill. So I did the rinse fill, and then I just got rid of the starboard. Starboard sat on the side of my tank on my base. And that it's not that cheap, that stuff, but it allowed me to my backer board for my pump controllers, and it's like nice shiny black, so I've used it for that. But
reused it.
So now I've gone back to the bare glass with the white vinyl.
Yes,
mixed special, and it looks nice. It's all right.
It probably reflecting light as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, there you go. Look, so the black board's off and back to. Back to white, and then I moved that Abyss pump to the side and bought another one, so they're on the sides. And then I was thinking, I can keep this glass free, but as I put more corals in, I need a little bit of flow just coming through the back there. So I didn't want to turn the Abyss pumps up, so I put an MP60 in the middle, and then I've got 6 pumps on the sides, and the flow is just. It's not.
You
really
could go fishing in that tank, Mo. Sorry, you could literally just.
That's why I put that in that shot. But that's the tank cycle. That's the tank cycling. I had a fishless cycle going on. And see how cloudy it was. Literally day one, just boom, cloudy. So obviously the ceramics leach phosphates and the silicates.
Yeah.
But that's known. So it just and I was going to stick sand in just to help. If you get sand in at the beginning of the cycle, it just gives you that surface area, so that it'll cycle your tank quicker. So I think. Be honest, if you do ceramics and you get a lot of dead rock to start with, if you can get live sand, great, but put a sand bed in and then eventually siphon it out. And that's what I did with my old tank, and it cycles quicker. But it cycled eventually, you just got to be patient. And at this point, you don't really have that patience, but I use the stuff.
What's the literage of that tank then? The total, do you know?
I think my system's about 4,500 liters. It includes the sump, and it includes I've got a little 5x5 by 12 frag tank in the back, which is kind of my QT tank. And this tank's probably about
5x12.
Yeah. It just fills the rest of the room. I had some space, so I thought I'd fill it. And that's plumbed in. There were the pipes in the middle of my sump room, so I plumbed those in later on. I got that a bit later. But I use that to QT as it QT it. I've got I whacked a UV on it with a single drain, and it drains out of that tank through the UV back down into the sump. And so that's the theory, and that's what I did with my old system. It's not proper QT, but it's something.
I was going to say you can't separate it then completely from your.
I can
system.
I can actually. I got an. I haven't, but I got an RO tank below the QT tank, and I can convert that into a sump if I want to.
Right. Okay.
And then but I haven't done. I don't fancy the idea of water testing multiple systems, so I just keep it to one system at the minute. And then I put a whacking grade UV on that, so any bugs and whatnot can go through the UV. Yeah. And so far it's worked all right. Say again.
Is that the TNC UV?
Yeah, I got a 2 tube on that, and a 6 tube on the big tank.
He loves tin.
it's big.
It's that fun.
The UVs, you know, when I first started my original tank, I never had UV, and I got massive white spot outbreak, and I whacked UV and ozone on it, and then when I put the fish back in, I never got a single issue after that. So on this tank, I just started with the UV and the ozone, and I've not had a single problem with it. You know, read into that what you will, but you know, if you do something that gives you confidence, you just want to do it.
Yeah.
So I have got with this one.
I have got a couple of videos that you sent me of the current tank in terms of stockage or stocking, should I say, levels, Mo, which I'll share with us now. I think this is one of them. It's from the entrance. So this is current status.
Yeah. So got some Red Planet there on the front, rainbow PC rainbows, red stag on there. The funny thing is, so I shouldn't say it, but you know, right in the middle next to those two little green corals at the front.
I'll play it again for you. There you go.
This is my nephew did this video, so he came down and just did a few. So see that little brown coral to the left of the two bright green ones at the front there.
Yeah.
Right. That's a dead coral with coralline on it.
Oh, right, okay.
Nobody would ever know. I never took it out because it was actually a rainbow. It was a rainbow millie, really, really nice. And then it just faded away. And I just, you know, you always one day it might grow back a little tip. So I just left it there, and it's just got actually growing coralline on it. It's funny. You look at the videos and you think, oh.
Where'd you source your corals from? Anywhere particular?
Matt,
you go Southwest
Marines.
Yeah.
No, so do you know Aquatic Emporium? A lot of guys know that in the south.
Yeah.
So SOOOO, or I call her Sue. You want to get down there if you can, and AAC, Paul, top guy, Paul and Barry. So AAC has got top-notch selection. So I get a bit from there. Matt always gets me stuff that I need. So Matt's, I always call on Matt, and then Sue as well. I really like Sue's great. She's got a great little shop and top-notch corals. So anyone is looking for
where are they based in? That's Aquatic Emporium.
So she's in Shepperton, Aquatic Emporium in Shepperton.
Right.
Shepperton,
okay.
yeah. Head down there. So it's just not far from my sister-in-law lives in Slough. So when I go and visit her, I pop down and see Sue. And the Swindon lot put me onto her as well. So the Swindon lot go down there, and a few of the guys in Berkshire area go down. You want pay a bit. It's not that far from you guys. I wouldn't have thought, from you at least, Rob. So go see her. Reef Dork's down there a lot as well. There's quite a few people who go down. David's there on a Saturday morning. He pops down there a lot on David Saxby. So you catch up and have a nice chat with David as well. So and Paul and Barry are brilliant. Their shop is fantastic. So that's where I tend to do most of my coral shopping, to be honest. The only thing is, though, you had a lot wider variety before. Everyone wants the tenuous, and they want all the same corals now. The bright millies and things, but there's old classic blue stags, and there's not so many of them. So you kind of see the same old things, really. I've got a few wild Aussie SPS as well, but they just sort of start. It's just hitting its phase now, so it's a nice short cake there. And they're just starting to colour up a bit more. There's Bali shortcake. I got the Paletta pink tip. Got a nice the blue green. What's it called? I've forgotten the name now, but Speciosa, and that was an unusual one. It's come up, coloured up really nicely. Strawberry Fields, I think that was called. There was bright red polyps. Nice brown, brown green rubbish Aussie wild coral. Sometimes they go brown and they stay turdy brown for yonks. So I've got a couple of those. And then some of them, I managed to find a Solitariensis. So I've got the Soli there. And then that's the Bifaria, I think they're called. They're like tenuous, but not quite. They're a bit longer branches. They colour up nice as well. They're not as quite as polypy as the tenuous. And this is a multicolour one I got off Sue in the middle there. It gets blue, green, red, all sorts of colours. It's really unusual. Smooth skin. Bali shortcake.
I see Aqua Delight there in the back there. So look at the wild Aqua Delight coral.
Quick question for you, Mo, from Liam, Gills Aquarium. Do you cut the bases from your maricultured colonies?
No,
or just
you can obviously see that. I don't. So the answer is yes and no, because I peg. I've got the holes all over my reef, over the rocks. So I get little acrylic dowels and I cut them down. But what I found convenient, and a lot of people say don't put the bases in, but you get a bit lazy, and I sometimes drill the base and glue a peg into it and just plonk it on. Because I've got a saw now, which I didn't have before, but trying to crack them off the bases can be difficult.
Really?
Sorry. I'm thinking cracking off, and everyone with a
crack off the base.
So 1 minute you're pegging, Mo, and then you're cracking one off. I'm like,
you just stole my fucking joke.
Apologies. They tend to do this, Mo, every now and again. Apologies.
So some of the wild, that's fine. I know. I listened to the stream for long enough. But some of the wild ones, what I do is use a liquid glue, glue down the acrylic dowel, and notice how I avoided the term, and then I can just put just plant them in really. And then sometimes I just drill the base of a mariculture, and there's a lot of talk about not doing. I don't know. Do you guys take the bases off or?
Yeah, I do really.
All of them. Yeah. Yep. I mean, my vanadium runs a little bit high. Strontium runs a little bit high, but other than that, my parameters are pretty spot on. My traces and stuff.
Best issue.
That's right.
Yeah.
I take it you no pests then?
Nah. What are they?
Tank's too big, you can't see them.
You know about flatworms in my old tank? I was internationally renowned for having flatworms. And
flatworm breeder.
Yeah, the amount of flatworms I had in my old tank, and there's a number of things I did for it. All the treatments out there, I know them all. This time I haven't really, not really had any problems. They all seem to be growing all right. I used the KCL dips this time. Eggs don't seem to be so apparent now. I don't know. Maybe flatworms have changed and they lay the eggs out in yonder, and
they've moved to Leicester.
Yeah.
But
so far so good. I mean,
Mo,
what am I?
You just changed, didn't you? How are you running?
What am I running? Oh yeah. So
he's laughing already.
Well, I know what you're getting at, Rob.
Well, we're going to go there. It's only taken 2 hours, 20 minutes. We're going to go there.
Well, look, I started with Kalkwasser. So the first part of the tank's Kalkwasser. Chris Meckley loves it. Before I had the Starco. So I actually bought a Deltec calcium reactor thinking, it was a pain in the ass with my old Starco at the end, the alarms, all that. So I bought the Deltec, never set it up. It's brand new. It's still in my sump room. But literally, I got reading and I probably read 2 weeks too late. And eventually I thought, no, you know what? Let's just start with Kalkwasser. And the calc works to treat. I bought a Kalkwasser reactor. I ran it through that. I ran saturated calc, top maxed out on that. And then I switched to a big 400-litre tub. And that used to last me about a week, maybe a bit less than that. But, it was relatively easy to do. But then as you start building your tank up, as it starts going into overdrive, the calc is quite weak. It's quite so what you do, I run a calcium reactor. You could do your 2-3 part, or you can do the other dosing bits. There are plenty of them out there now, or you can run a slurry. And so I kept the Kalkwasser reactor going and the tank, and I used my Kamoa doser and ran saturated calc through the Kalkwasser reactor. So it gave me a slurry, but it was a fairly consistent slurry. So I just ran slurry, but the problem is with a slurry you get blocked pipes. So then it's it was all quite dirty running Kalkwasser. So about that sort of time, Doug's given me a few corals over the time. I know Doug for a while, and we've been chatting stuff, and he'd always talk about he'd come down and bring corals down for me, and we'd have a chat and he'd have a look at the system and talk, and he'd come up with all these theories. So I've been talking to him since I set the tank up. And then he was always talking about, and the funny thing is, he told me once actually that I named the bolus. So he got the idea for the bolus term from me, funny enough, because we were talking about it. He said, "Oh, you can actually dump your alk in one go, and it has these pH benefits." And I thought, well, in theory, I could see that could work. So, and I never really tried it. And then I said, "Oh, you mean like just dumping a bolus in?" And what's that? I said, you put a bolus. Obviously, I'm a medic, so he went and looked it all up, and then worked out that bolus meant just doing a stat dose of whatever, just dumping it in. And then so he called it bolus, and I never knew that he called it after our conversation. That's where the term came out. But after running,
I'm going to call it the molus.
Pipes blocking. Yeah. There's plenty of other names for it as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen the Ultimate Reef thread recently. So Jay's giving it another name. Anyway, so then I thought, well, maybe it's got legs. I started my last tank off not with a calcium reactor. In that time, I started it with boiling light, and I did boiling light, and I got up to about a litre, and I thought it was getting a bit expensive, and that's when I bought the Destaco. That was going back to my old tank. So this time I did it the other way around. Calc-Wester got saturated it, and then thought, whoa, let me give it a shot. And so I've got the Royal Exclusive auto top off. And Rob, I'm sure you've got the same one, but mine sometimes sticks on, right? So I just get really paranoid about the auto top off. And obviously, if you do 3-part, or you need decent auto top off. Whereas you got Calc-Wester, it covers your top off as well, right? So I'd always switch that off. And then when I switched it back on and ran 3-part, and to get my dosing right for the alk, I did it the traditional way. So dose it 12 multiple times a day, work out what your alk dose is for the whole day, and then I said, right, this is what I do in a whole day. So I went through that motion, but then what started annoying me was my top off kept sticking on. And luckily this time I was just using it as a Kamoa, a peri pump. So even if it stuck on, it would take a good half a day before it dumped too much RO in. So I don't know. I thought I'd try a different top off, but I didn't really get to the bottom of it. So I just kept going back to Calc-Wester. So I was swinging between, and so I knew exactly what my doses were for Fornamarine for the boiling light, and then I knew what it was for Calc-Wester. So I went in between a couple of times, and then about 4 months ago, I just thought, I can't keep up with the Calc-Wester. Am I going to do both? I'm going to do one. So I just went bang. I know what my dose is for bolus. A few people seem to have used it. Tom in Germany's used it, and Doug's using it on his farm, and he's going on about it. And Adam Frag Garage has had a chat about it, and so I just went, okay, let's do it. And I was a bit nervous about doing the first couple, but it works a treat. I mean,
out of interest, how did you transition from dosing calc to doing the bolus? Did you just
so I knew what my I knew more or less what my my daily alk dose was, because I'd done boiling light, and then I'd gone back to calc, and I went to boiling light, so I could chop and change in between. I'm not saying to do that, but I knew what my daily dose was. So I actually, when I finally said that this is what I'm going to do, I knew what my dose was of calc. It was I think I was doing about 800 mils. I just went bang 800 mils and switched my calc off, and then and then what I did is filled my Calc-Wester tank with RO water and put my peri pump, and I knew what my evaporation was for the day. So I ran my Kamoa on the same, but just RO, exactly. Yeah. So that kept my top up going. So I still run, instead of doing a formal auto top off, I just run my Kamoa. So I peri pump it in, and then I know what my daily dose is. My daily dose just kept going up and up and up. It's about 1.5 liters a day now. But I think it's quite a lot. But it just means that the tank's hitting its stride. The corals are, they're okay. And my pH runs, with Calc-Wester, I was pushing it up and keeping it about 8.4, 8.2 to 8.4. And if you use an alk solution, like a bicarb solution, you can't dictate what the pH is going to be, because it's not a high pH solution. You can dictate it to more or less with calc because of how much you dose, right? So I just went, okay, and we expected my pH to drop. And it dropped a little bit, and then it went up again. And now my pH runs from 8.2 to 8.48, which is higher than what I had with calc. And that's a surprise. And this is why, I've posted on Reef to Reef, and I've posted on a few places, and it creates uproar and whatever. And I just asked for an explanation from the chemists who know more than I do. I'd say, why do you get this pH response? And they say, well, you don't. And so that's what the gist of the debate was, is, well, you do get it, and I've seen it, and they say no, you don't, and you can't really have a debate when you say
I haven't seen it explained either. That's the thing.
No, it's true.
I don't debate it works at all.
Can I just jump into the comments, gentlemen? Because there's a lot of people watching this evening that have given up the Friday evening, and well, rightly so they should have done. Thanks, Mo, again for everything you've shared with us. Mo, Rod, Fatboy Nuts. Mo, what are your 5 favourite corals and fish?
Who's that, Rod?
I haven't got a clue, but he's asking a very valid question. So, what's your favourite corals and fish? What would you put in your top 5?
So fish, I like gem tangs.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I do like the koi tang I had, but I wouldn't buy one now because they're way overpriced.
Okay.
I haven't yet bought a black tang because it's overpriced. It's on my list, Rob. So I like those 3. In my tank now, what else do I like? Sohal tang. I love myself.
Yeah,
my other favourite fish, Achilles. I love the Achilles. And actually, I like the powder blue as well. I've never managed to get a powder blue into my tank, and now I've got an Achilles and a powder blue. So Achilles, powder blue. Black tang's a nice gem tang. Yeah.
One more.
Corals. Did I say one more?
One more. You give me 4.
Tell me what did I say?
You went gem tang, powder blue.
My koi tang. You know my koi tang. That was my all-time favourite fish.
Tangs.
I did lose it in the end.
Tang police.
Yeah, the tangs. Okay. I've got plenty of volume. Yeah, I love tangs.
Corals,
tangs just they look after you. You know the amount of algae and all that stuff you get in your tank. They just keep it clean.
They are workhorses.
Clean. Yeah, so that's why I'm always.
Says Rob, who did the first manual water change since 1910 the other day.
Hey, you know, on this tank, I haven't done a water change yet.
Have you not?
The number of water changes, not even one. I filled it up. I've put salt in to adjust the salinity because you know your salinity drifts down with kalkwasser. And so you always got to keep on top of that. So if you're a kalkwasser user, make sure you check your salinity. And then I put that in, and so I've got I started with Trop and Marin, and I've got Nios now, decent salts, and then I just keep salinity up.
So you're using the Nios salt then?
Yeah, I've had it for a while.
You like
not
it?
Sponsored, not sponsored, no.
No, I have to buy it.
Good,
I have to buy everything on this tank.
That's
I mean,
right.
look, you know, you get bulk discount stuff. You know, Steve, Jez, they're good lads.
Yes, they are. They are amazing.
And the customer service is second to none.
Yep.
You know, so if you're going to buy something and you buy from those boys, they're going to look after you. You know, if something goes wrong, the customer service is always has been, even from my previous tank. So you know, if they back something, I've got no worries about using that. And so you know, Nios is a good product as well, as you guys know now. And you know, they've got a good ethos as well. But the guys who distribute it in the UK, as far as I'm concerned, top guys. So so I'm quite happy with it.
There's so many bad distributors out there. Exodus stand out. They're incredible.
Yeah, and they always have been, you know. So so I'm up for anything that they would supply. And
so stop licking ass and tell me your 5 favourite corals. But pair review.
They're all SPS, right? I'm an SPS man at the end of the day.
Okay. Yeah.
So strawberry shortcake's in there. The Echinata is always.
Yeah. Lovely.
Solly, I've loved it from day one. So Solitariensis. And then you've got to add maybe which one would you add? Which tenuous would you add? Walt Disney. That's the original classic, is it? A home wrecker.
Have you got them? Have you got them?
So you know, if you ask me, have I got the original one that came out in America and came out of the ocean in the same place? And I've got, you know, I can't delineate mine to there, but I've got a maricultured version of it. Okay. And then I think guys will be, when it colors up properly, people will be hard pressed to tell where it came from, and then I'll lie and say I got it from America. But no, I haven't got the original now.
I really like you, Mo. You're a nice person. I'll stay friends with you.
Oh, thank you.
I'll just to get a bit of that.
I mean, he hasn't said he likes you yet, Ron. So
I know. I've said 2 months.
I have no doubts what people think of me. You're fine.
Oh dear. Keith in the house. Evening, Keith. Or good afternoon, Keith. Mr.
Calky's
Mr. Reef.
evil.
Oh,
Look at him.
Keith,
Yeah. Is it?
Keith.
Yeah.
Wait, hasn't Keith just started on Bolus as well?
He has. That's why. That's probably why he's saying that.
Brothers, the pair of you.
You've seen the light. You've seen the light.
A pair of bolus.
Yeah, but he's used calc for he's used calc for years
I think
as
the
well.
triplets next week because I'm going to try it.
You're going to try to do it?
What?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
You slag.
And I'm surprised Tom isn't doing it already. I mean, come
Well,
on, Tom.
I have had many a conversation with Doug, and he's tried to. Doug is that sort of. I'm going to be careful here.
Yeah,
It gives you the you know that phrase as parents where it's like, I'm not angry with you, but I'm just disappointed.
Disappointed, yeah.
Is that what he said to you?
Yeah.
That's the kind of conversation. That's the kind of tone of conversation that
Just
I've
that
had
look,
with Doug.
and he goes, "You should know better."
It's like, you should know better, and I'm just like, yeah, but my corals are growing. He's like, yeah, but not for long. Anyway, so I don't know. It's something I'm.
What are you using at the moment, Tom?
So at the minute on the DT downstairs, I'm using Calquasa, and I'm literally using the Fauna Colours as for my tracers. And I'm manually dosing anything that's out of whack. And I'll be honest with you, with that and the water changes, the tank is pretty solid in terms of alkalinity.
What do you manually dose?
I'm having to manually dose. Well, I'm manually dosing the colours, so that they do the I can't remember what they call them, like a green, blue, and red one.
Those are the additional traces, aren't they? So they're not the core traces.
Additional traces.
Do you do core traces as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's becoming a bit of a nightmare at the minute because I'm literally having to do things like the tank is literally taking off, and I've not decided which way I'm going. Because originally I was going to go calcium reactor. I've changed my mind on that. Then I was going to go on modern reef. That's going to cost me a fortune, so that's not happening. Okay. So that's going on this tank. And then when NIOS announced what they were doing the other day, I was contemplating doing that on the DT downstairs. I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm a bit 50-50.
Yeah, I think it sounds to me like NIOS are doing a sodium carbonate based dosing solution. So I'm guessing that's what it is. Take your pick, really, isn't it? So the one thing I didn't say actually is I do moonshiners. Have you come across reef moonshiners?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I call it reef moshiners now because I got my own versions of them. But reef moonshiners have been really good.
Moonshiners.
It's a lot of individual dosing of traces and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But Rob is right up your street. I'm surprised you're not doing that.
Andrew's doing that at Polo Reef, isn't he?
Yeah, he may well be. Yeah, there's quite a few people, and it does. I mean, I've spoken to Andre as well, and it does do what it says on the tin. Eventually these things. It's like here availability of fauna marin or other trace elements is easier. So you can do the same method and use theirs, and the concentration is slightly different, but you can work out the concentrations.
Well, I'm not going to get into a controversial conversation now because we're 2 hours 40 minutes in, and I'm conscious it's everybody's Friday evening, what's left of it. But your tank, the tank we covered before the tank we've just covered, as in your second or your first build,
the big one,
that was 2008. There was no bolus then, and that tank was awesome.
Yeah.
And you told me about. And the point I'm trying to make is that there's many a person that's had a successful tank, and I'm sure there will be many a person moving forward that will have a successful tank that can run it on a system that works for them, that they like, can afford, can understand, and while ever they enjoy it, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Otherwise, why do it?
I mean, who's just Calculator works. I mean, I've used it for how long? 9 months. Meckley uses it on a farm, and people use it all over. So, I mean, if it works for you, use it. If it's not broken, don't try and fix it. I mean, I say that to my patients. If it's not broken, don't try and fix it. So, if it works for you, if you worked out a system, great. If you look, reefers always looking for, what's next? How can I treat this color?
Perfection.
Perfection. Why does Signature Frags get that little shade out of the color and I can't get it? It must be. So everyone's always inquisitive, and you're saying, and so that's why I tried the reef moonshiner. So it's nice getting your
traces bang on. You know, like my vanadium runs high, maybe because I've got lots of rag plugs. I can't dose vanadium, so I can't do an all-in-one. Yeah, I could, but my vanadium would be even higher. My strontium would be even higher. So therefore, I switched to doing individual ones, and everything's at the right level, more or less. And you know, I'm not dosing molybdenum. I know, you know, why I need lots of fluorine, you know, fluoride, you know, iodide dosing. You know, these things. It's just if you've got your levels great, and you know, you use Tropic Marin one and you do it all in one, you don't have to worry about it. Perfect.
But find something that works for you. Find something that works for you as a hobbyist.
Yeah, but I wouldn't.
Is absolutely critical, because if it works, you're going to keep doing it. If you keep doing it, you'll have success.
Exactly, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Ways to get to the same hobby, and as long as you don't shit on everybody else's that is working for them, don't dare come on the internet and say no, you can't grow corals with those lights. That's absolutely ridiculous. That is so stupid.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree, and you know, it takes ages to get your system stable. And if you get it stable with something and it's working, don't destabilize it. That'd be my number one advice, anyway.
Totally
so
agree.
get it stable and do your thing. You know, there are lots of, and that's what, you know, every company's got their own bit. But if you look, you know, the core dosing systems are very similar.
Essentially the same.
What is it? Yeah. Calcium hydroxide, or you know, sodium hydroxide, or calcium carbonate. They're variations of a similar thing. Sodium carbonate systems. You choose what you want. Don't look left and right. You know, if your tank's nice, heading the right way, you're getting the corals that you want. You can, you know, you keep them, color them. If they're stable, they'll grow, they'll color. And like you say, you know, I did it with metal halides and water changes, you know, 10, 12, 15 years ago. So just keep doing it.
Just quickly, Mo, before we wrap up, is there anything from the build we started off the show with to the one we've just covered? What were your biggest sort of learning curves from one build to the other? Because there were big, obviously, there were big investments, should I say, in terms of not just money but time and headaches. I'm sure there were lots along the way. But what did you learn? What were the key sort of learning curves from the first one to the second one?
So the first thing I say to even new reefers and even now is, you know, when you start your tank, I mean, you know, the bigger your tank, the longer it takes to stabilize. But everyone's going to go through this cycle. Everyone's going to have an unstable tank. Everyone's going to kill corals when you put them in. And if you don't, you're lucky. And everyone's got to titrate the lights to the nutrients, and the nutrients are going to fluctuate up and down. Just go through your motions, and everyone eventually ends up with a nice tank, except the ones that keep tinkering, keep finding the next thing that's better. So if you just let your like me, but just let your tank ride.
It's wrong.
Okay, well, no, just let your tank ride, you know. And when it hits its step, and you know, you sorted out your lighting, and you know what the corals need for lighting, you've balanced it with your nutrients, and you've got a nice nutrient system, you've got a nice dosing system, and you're keeping your alk stable, you know, all those things eventually, you know, your tank just starts running on its own. And it's tough for the first 6 months, or a big tank for a first year, and eventually it finds its thing, and then it skyrockets. And just wait, just be patient.
When you hit that spot, it's
and everyone gets there. Except if you keep tinkering, well, more or less. But you know, you keep tinkering, you get fed up, and you shut down, and you've missed you've gone through the bad bits, and then you just shut down just before it's about to take off. So just be patient, let it take off, and don't run masses of GFO because you think you've got to strip out all the phosphate. Don't run. No, I've run this tank with a nitrate of 75 and a phosphate of 1.8. This tank's run an SPS as I've been building up my lights, because I didn't want to whack the lights up and find I haven't got enough nutrients, and I starve my corals go crazy and they strip. And that's what used to happen in my old tank. And I learned that in those days you want to run really low nutrients, but I had so much light that they couldn't keep up. And it wasn't until I took the pellets off and, you know, ran and fed loads and loads and loads, and just let it run and let the nutrients run up, and then find that. And my theory is, you know, the bigger your tank, the more nutrients you need. The corals have got to find that nutrient in the tank. And if you're running 0.03 and less phosphate, you're going to have a tough time. And if you run a phosphate of, you know, 0.1, you're going to have a much easier time. So run it just that a little bit higher for a bigger tank. I'm not saying run small tanks at that level, but don't be afraid of just, don't have to strip everything out and you have to have, you have to have this number and that number because so and so has it. Just let your tank run, and it'll find its stride.
Mo, I feel like you're somebody that has got a lot more to give to us on a chat on a Friday or even a Sunday morning, whatever suits your time frame. So I am going to ask you on the spot: will you come on again and chat with us? That's on a time that suits you.
Yeah, anytime. Good
man. Top man.
Come on. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, thanks.
It's been an absolute pleasure. You sharing your journey of the last 15 years, 16 years, whatever it's been, something like that. And I dread to think how many thousands of pounds. We won't go there. But no, thank you ever so much for coming on. I'm going to wrap it up here. Rob, Ron, as always, it's been emotional. Love to you both.
Really nice to meet you, Mo. Really nice to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great to get you on.
Absolute pleasure, Mo. Rob, thanks for coming on.
Rob, Black Tang.
Kicking.
Oh dear, guys in the audience, if you've not already done so, please give us a like, and if you haven't already done so, if you're not already subscribing, please subscribe to the channels. It does help us when it comes to getting other people on. Please join myself, Drippy, Ian Rodber, and the one and only Dave Emer, or as Rob says, Doive, is coming on Sunday to have a reefing catch up. He is so reefing catch up. He's popping his cherry on the Reefers Network this Sunday at 10 o'clock. So
just
please
see the top of his head, you will.
Next Sunday, as you know, we've got the one and only Keith, aka Reef Pump, coming on next Friday at 8 o'clock. So that should be good. So please tune in for that. But no, thank you very much, Mo. It's been emotional. Thanks, it's been amazing. Some of the content you've shared with us is literally like, I'll watch it back definitely several times. And if you want to look at the threads, they're on Ultimate Reef. The guy's got 1 million hits. He's definitely worth 1,000,001 or 1,000,002. So definitely go there again. But no, thank you very much, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your Friday evening, what's left. Have a cracking weekend, and I'll see you all Sunday morning. Take care. Bye-bye for
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.